Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto fights against Council Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. The third Hokage Saratobis Hiruzen had a look of disappointment on his face as he looked down on the people of his village from his office in the Hokage Tower. The look of disappointment was not only for the people of the village, but also for himself for his inability to protect the 6-year-old blonde child healing on his couch behind him. The 6-year-old was one Naruto Uzumaki, Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed demon fox. He was brought to the Hokage about 10 minutes ago after yet another attack by the people of this village who couldn't tell the difference between a kunai and the scroll it was sealed into. What have I condemned this child to? No one deserves the pain he's been through, thought Saratobis. Sensing an incoming chakra, he turned towards the spot where an Umbu wearing a crow mask appeared in a Shunsen report. Crow, he said in a stern voice. Hokage-sama, everyone involved with the attack on Naruto has been rounded up and taken to Ibiki. At last count there were 14 civilians, 3 genin, 3 chunin and 1 jonin. Crow replied in a monotone voice. Sighing deeply, the Hokage said, tell Ibiki no kid gloves. He has my full support to do whatever he wants to the shinobi. Give the civilians to Anko, tell her the only restrictions are they are to be kept alive. I want them to be made examples of for breaking my laws. Elsewhere in the village, why do I have the sudden urge to kiss the Hokage full on the mouth? Said the scarred interrogation specialist. I don't know, but does it feel like Christmas to you? Asked his purple-haired partner. Kami Crow thought giving Ibiki and Anko free rein to do what they please. It would be more merciful to have them killed after their quality time with those 2-foot-high Hokage-sama, he said out loud and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. After Crow left, Saratobis made his way over to the couch Naruto was sleeping on. Looking down on the child, he couldn't help but shake his head at what this village has done to such an innocent child. His usually golden blonde hair was caked with drying blood. His white shirt and blue shorts were torn and bloodied and his feet were dirty and bare. Not being able to stomach the thought of this happening to Naruto again, the Hokage made a decision. The only decision the Hokage knew of that could make up for the life Naruto has lived so far. Decision made, Saratobis motioned for his hidden Umbu stationed around the office to reveal themselves. 4 Umbu appeared kneeling in front of the Hokage with their heads bowed. They were dog, crane, bear and lizard. I'm about to initiate a SSS class protocol. You're all to wait outside until I call for you, he said. The Umbu hesitated for a moment. It was rare for such a code to use. An SSS class protocol was code for no matter what you hear, do not enter this office unless you're suicidal and kill anyone who tries to enter the office no matter rank or position in the village. After receiving a glare from the Hokage, they all left to take up positions outside the room. After the Umbu left the room, the Hokage put up one of his strongest sound and security barriers. Moving to the center of the room, the Hokage pulled aside the plain black rug that was in the center of the room. Breaking the genjutsu on the floor, a very intricate seal was revealed. Biting his thumb, the Hokage knelt over the seal, wrote his name in the center of the seal, and also placed his bloody fingerprints underneath his name like he would on signing summoning scroll. Next he made a hand seal with his index finger and middle fingers of both hands crossed with each other, shadow clone jutsu. He shouted and created 3 reinforced clones, each with about 20% of his chakra. After using that much chakra, he was panting slightly. Alright, you know what to do. Each of you stand at a cardinal point of the seal. When each clone took a position, he continued, now we must all time this exactly. If even one of us is off, it won't work, so on the count of 3 we'll start the seals. 123. At 3 all 4 beings ran through 50 hand seals in a blur that only a master of the Sharingan could catch a glimpse of. On the last seal, all 4 beings slammed their hands down on a part of the seal in front of them. 2 things happened. The 3 clones disappeared in a puff of smoke, and a big black scroll with the kanji for fire on it sat in the middle of the seal on the floor. That was amazing, GG. Do it again, said an excited childish voice. Saratobis turned surprised eyes to the voice. Naruto-kun, how long have you been awake? He asked, panting a little. Right before you slapped the ground and those extra U's disappeared, he said. Chuckling slightly, Saratobis reached into his robes and pulled out a food pill. After eating the pill, he took a deep breath, already feeling most of his chakra returning. He then turned and picked up the scroll from the floor and went to the couch to sit next to the young blonde. How are you feeling, Naruto? He asked, already dreading the answer. Naruto gave a shrug of his small shoulders and looked at his Gigi with a sad smile. I'm fine, Gigi, I'm used to it by now. Saratobis knew he didn't want an answer to that question. Naruto-kun, this scroll I hold in my hands is my apology for the life you have suffered here in the village. Before you interrupt, I want to explain what I mean. A 6-year-old child should not be used to waking up from repeated beatings from a mob, nor should they be forced to live alone or withstand looks of anger and hatred. Naruto, 6 years ago a terrible disaster struck this village. The disaster was the 9-tailed fox. The fox killed a lot of people that day and nearly destroyed the village in a single night. I know that, Gigi, you've told me this story before, said a confused Naruto. The 4th Hokage sacrificed himself killing it. The 9-tailed fox was a chakra constructed, had no life to end. The 4th Hokage couldn't kill such a being, so he sealed it away. Now Naruto wasn't stupid by any means. He could put 2 and 2 together and get 4, the isolation from the other villagers, the looks, the beatings. So he sealed it in me. Why me? Out of everyone in the village, why did he choose me? he asked on the verge of tears. Sighing, the Hokage walked to his desk and retrieved a framed picture from one of the drawers and brought it back to Naruto. This is a picture of the fourth Hokage and his wife, the old man said, handing the picture to Naruto. Naruto turned the picture around and gasped at the sight. In the picture was a man with his wild blonde hair and blue eyes standing behind a woman with deep red hair and violet eyes. They were both smiling softly at the camera, and the woman had a noticeable swell in her stomach. These are your parents, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. Kushina was the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi before you were. He stopped there when Naruto looked at him with shock. Yes, it's true. On the night of your birth, Minato, and I took great precaution because we knew that the seal holding the Kyuubi in Kushina would weaken with the strain of childbirth. I don't know the details because I wasn't there, but someone infiltrated the birthing chamber and released the Kyuubi from the seal on your mother. By the time I arrived on the scene to possibly help Minato, the Kyuubi was already sealed within you and Minato was dying. His wish was for you to be seen as a hero, but the people refused to acknowledge your parents' sacrifice and Minato's wish. Old man, I'm a constant reminder of what they lost that night. It's no wonder they hate me. They were both quiet for a while before Naruto decided to get to the point of these discoveries. You're telling me all this for a reason, so what is it? Is that scroll something my parents left for me? He asked. Picking up the big scroll, the Hokage laid it across his lap before speaking. No, Naruto, this is not something your parents left for you. This is the village's most well-kept secret and most valuable treasures. The contents within this scroll will help you become one of the most powerful shinobi ever to walk the elemental nations. You will even become more powerful than me someday, he said, looking straight into Naruto's eyes. To say Naruto was shocked would be an understatement. He was shocked not only by what the old man said but also by the look in his eyes. He had never seen that look before. You're starting to scare me a little, Gigi. Why would you give me all this power? What if I used it to destroy the village instead of help it? After what I've seen this village become for the past 6 years, they deserve every bit of your hatred, and so do I. 6 years ago I placed my faith in the people of Konoha to look beyond their fear and hatred of the Kyuubi, and see a child with a heavy burden to bear. I misplaced my faith in so many people. By giving you this scroll I'm asking you to forgive an old man his mistakes, he said solemnly. I'm not stupid, Gigi. I know you can't be there all the time. You have an entire village to look after, not just one person. You were there when you could be. You tried, and that counts for something, so I forgive you. Thank you, Naruto, but nevertheless I still want you to give you this, he said, pointing at the scroll in his lap. Okay, I'll accept it, but what's in it, and how can it make me even stronger than you? Naruto asked curiously. Naruto, what I'm about to reveal is a Hokage's secret. The only people who know about it are the Hokages themselves and their successors, he said, standing up and moving to the center of the room. He unraveled the scroll, revealing 4 sections of the scroll, each marked with a 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like before, he bit his thumb hard enough to draw blood, and in each section he wrote his name and left his bloody handprint. Turning back to Naruto, he said, what I'm about to do is something that should only be done in an emergency, and I think your situation qualifies. After speaking, he turned back to the scroll and went through the hand seals for a simple summoning jutsu, and slammed his hands down on the floor. The symbols for the summoning jutsu spread out on the floor until they reached the scroll, and a summoning circle appeared in each section under the numbers. 4 puffs of smoke erupted from each section of the scroll. When the smoke cleared, 4 men were revealed. The first man had dark tan skin, brown eyes, and long black hair. He was wearing red metal plating armor similar to samurais and black ninja sandals. On the collar of his armor was the Senju clan symbol, and he was also wearing a hitai on his forehead with the Konoha symbol. The second man had shaggy white hair, red eyes, and red streaks under each eye on his chin. He also wore samurai armor similar to the first man, only blue in color, black ninja sandals, and a face guard with the Konoha symbol on the front. The third man had brown eyes with black vertical slits beneath them, brown spiked hair, and a small goatee. He wore a black full-body jumpsuit with a mesh shirt beneath the top. There were gray armor plates on both shoulders, and he wore a hitai with long black straps across his forehead. The last man was fair-skinned with cerulean blue eyes and spiky blonde hair, and 2 bangs that framed the sides of his face. He wore the standard Konoha Jonin uniform with 2 bands on each sleeve, green flak jacket, and a Konoha hitai across his forehead. He also wore a short-sleeved trench coat with flames at the bottom. These men were the first, second, third, and fourth Hokages of Konoha. How pissed would you be if I stopped on a cliffhanger like that? The former Hokages took a moment to orient themselves before they focused on the person who summoned them. The first to speak was Hashirama Senju, the first Hokage. You've gotten old, Sara, he said, looking at his former student. Old Saratobis' sweat dropped at hearing that out of the mouth of a man he hadn't seen in over 40 years. Thank you, sensei. I've missed you too, he said sarcastically. It's nice to see you again, monkey brat, said Tobirama Senju, the second Hokage. Thank you, sensei. It's nice to see you too, responded old Saratobi. You are one handsome man, said the Saratobi that looked at least 30 years younger than the other. When you're right, who am I to disagree with you, said the old Saratobi. While it is nice to see you again, if you summoned us, then what's the emergency? Asked the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Hey, who's the blonde brat? Asked Tobirama. This is my successor, the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Minato, allow me to introduce my senseis and your predecessors, the first and second Hokage Hashirama and Tobirama Senju, the old Hokage said formally. The 3 men bowed deeply to each other. When Tobirama straightened, he spoke again. Nice to meet you, Minato, but I was actually talking about the other blonde brat with his jaw on the floor and his eyes bugging out, he said, pointing at Naruto over on the couch. True to his word, Naruto's eyes were as big as ramen bowls and his jaw was sitting in his lap. He had been sitting like that since the smoke cleared to reveal each man. As each man was revealed, his eyes got progressively larger, but it wasn't until the fourth was revealed that his jaw fell open. He's right there. My father, how can he be there when he died 6 years ago? Thought Naruto. This gentleman is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. He is the reason I've summoned you all. Naruto carries a burden all of you are familiar with. The Kyuubi, they all said at the same time. What, how did you know that? Asked Naruto. I was married to the first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, and I've also had the misfortune to fight the beast on more than one occasion, said Hashirama. I'm a sensor, I can feel the two different energies flowing through you, said Tobirama. I'm a sensor as well, and I've spent a lot of time around the first two Jinchurikis of the Kyuubi, said the young Saratobi. Minato slowly approached what could only be his son and kneeled down in front of him, frowning when he spotted the blood on his clothes. Like the first Hokage, I was in love with the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, so I know what the Kyuubi feels like, even sealed away. What happened to your clothes, Naruto? He asked casually. Before Naruto could answer, old Saratobi spoke. I will explain that, but first, Naruto, I want to explain to you how the former Hokages are here. Do you remember when you first woke up here and you saw those copies of me before they went up in smoke? Yes, Gigi. Well, those were called shadow clones. There are many different types of clones ninja use in combat, like water clones or earth clones. These 4 Hokages are also a type of clone. They're called blood clones. The blood clone jutsu makes a complete copy of that person's memory and can fully utilize its very own chakra network. Where most clones would disperse after a strong hit, or even when their maker died, these clones could live independently of their creator. There are drawbacks to using this jutsu. You must sacrifice half of your blood and 90% of your chakra. When I used this jutsu, I was in a coma for a week. If someone were to try to use this jutsu when they were not 100% healthy, it could very well kill them, which is why it's not even listed on the Forbidden Scroll. It is only passed from Hokage to successor. If you recall, I told you that there was a Hokage secret that only the Hokage himself and his successor knew. Well, that secret is that whenever someone accepts the title of Hokage, they are required to perform the blood clone jutsu and seal it away in that black scroll they came out of. They were only to be released in case of dire emergency. The reason I released them was to give you something every child deserves, and that is family and protection. Even though this is only a clone of your father, it's the closest I could come to giving you the family that was taken from you. Naruto couldn't take it anymore. He jumped off the couch and rushed to the old Hokage, wrapped him in a hug as tight as he could, and cried his eyes out. Saratobi did his best to hold back his own tears, but they rolled down his cheeks anyway. After about 10 minutes, Naruto had cried himself to sleep, and Saratobi returned him to the couch so he could be comfortable. With that done, he turned and faced the clones of his fellow Kages. Saratobi, what the hell is going on? Demanded the clone of the 4th Hokage. Sighing deeply, the old Saratobi explained Naruto's life up to this point. By the time he was finished, the clones ran the emotional gauntlet from disappointment in the village they all vowed to protect with their lives to downright murderous. Although the 4th also had a healthy dose of shame, knowing he, or rather the original, condemned Naruto to this existence. If I could, I would kick my own ass from here to Snow Country, the 4th Hokage's clone said miserably. You have an opportunity your creator will never have. You can be there for him now. You can train him to defend himself. All of you can. That's why I released you from the scroll in the first place. I want all of you to train him. Whoever interfered with Kushina during her childbirth knew what they were doing when they released the Kyuubi. I'm afraid whoever it was is not done yet and will come after Naruto sooner or later, and being trained by 4 Kages, he will have a better chance of surviving. The original Saratobi said. Do you even have to ask? Naruto will be the most dangerous man in the world when I'm done training him, said the Minato clone. You mean when we're done training him, said the clone of the first. Even if he wasn't a distant relative, I would still train him. I'm with you, brother. What this village has done to a child is beyond forgiving. We will make him a force to be reckoned with, spoke the clone of the 2nd. The clone of the 3rd Hokage looked his creator in the eye. If I know you, and I think I do, you've been killing yourself over not being able to protect him. Don't worry, I'll do what you couldn't, he said. The original Saratobi just looked at his clone and nodded his head gratefully. I think it's time we leave, said the 1st Hokage. Where do we go? We can't possibly train the kid in the village, stated Tobirama. The Whirlpool Village, said the 4th. It has been abandoned for years. No one would think to look for anyone there, and from what Kushina told me of it, it's a solitary island surrounded by whirlpools, so it's very isolated. We could get some serious training done with minimum interruptions. As he spoke, he made his way over to the couch Naruto rested on, and gently lifted him in his arms. I have some weapons stashed in my head on the Hokage monument. I'll pick them up and meet you all at the border of Fire Country and Water Country in 3 hours. Sound good? We all should have similar stashes, and it would be better if we split up in case we're spotted. I'll see you in 3 hours, said the clone of the 3rd. He disappeared in a leaf shunshin. When the clone of the 3rd left, the clone of the 4th disappeared in a flash of yellow with the still sleeping Naruto in his arms. Well, I guess this is goodbye again, monkey brat. Next time you see that kid, he'll be able to go toe-to-toe with your best without breaking a sweat, guaranteed, said the clone of the 2nd before he disappeared in a water shunshin. I can tell your will of fire dimmed sorrow, but with this act you are stoking it to an inferno. Goodbye, my student, said the clone of first before he simply melded into the floor and was gone. Sighing, the Hokage moved to the window overlooking the village, wondering what the future would bring to his village. 1 week later, Yuzushiogakure, currently a 6-year-old Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, was in an open grass area in front of his 4 senseis about to begin his training in the ninja arts. He was wearing simple loose-fitting black pants, gray kimono top with a mesh armor shirt beneath it with a black sash holding the kimono together, and black shinobi sandals. He was standing at attention, hands at his sides, eyes forward, waiting for his senseis to begin explaining his training. He didn't have to wait long because the first Hokage stepped forward and began. Well, Naruto, I'm glad to see you're mentally ready to begin training. The coming years will be difficult. We intend to train you until you die and drop, and then we will resurrect you and rain you some more, he said, looking his student in the eye. We are masters of the shinobi arts, you are the student. It is our job to teach you and it is your job to learn, he said in a stern but kindly tone. Are you ready to begin? Yes, Hashirama-sensei, Naruto said quickly. Good, let us begin. And so began the training of a legend by legends. Year 1, Naruto, age 6. 6:00 am physical training with Hashirama-sensei. 10 laps around the village with 20 pounds on each wrist and 40 on each leg, followed by 20 laps in the river. 10:00 am shower and breakfast. 11:00 am nin, gen and taijutsu theory with Saratobis sensei. 1:00 p.m. lunch. 2:00 p.m. basic weapons training, kunai, shuriken, ninja wire etc. with Tobirama sensei. 5:00 p.m. Fuin Jutsu theories with Minato sensei. 7:00 p.m. dinner. 9:00 p.m. bedtime. Year 2, Naruto, age 7. 6:00 am physical training with Hashirama sensei. 25 laps around the village with 40 pounds on each wrist and 80 pounds on each leg, followed by 40 laps in the river. 10:00 am shower and breakfast. 11:00 am chakra control and strategy with Saratobis sensei. 1:00 p.m. lunch. 2:00 p.m. target practice, tracking and trapping with Tobirama sensei. 5:00 p.m. beginners Fuin Jutsu with Minato sensei. 7:00 p.m. dinner. 9:00 p.m. bedtime. Year 3, Naruto, age 8. 6:00 am physical training with Hashirama sensei. 50 laps around the village, 80 pounds on each wrist and 160 pounds on each leg, followed by 60 laps in the river. 10:00 am shower and breakfast. 11:00 am chakra control, strategy, Basic Academy Jutsu with Saratobis sensei. 1:00 p.m. lunch. 2:00 p.m. target practice, advanced tracking and trapping with Tobirama sensei. 5:00 p.m. intermediate Fuin Jutsu with Minato sensei. At this level you begin to create your own basic seals, storage seals and explosive notes. 7:00 p.m. dinner. 9:00 p.m. bedtime. Year 4, Naruto, age 9. 6:00 am physical training with Hashirama sensei. 80 laps around the village with 100 pounds on each wrist and 200 pounds on each leg and 100 laps in the river. 10:00 am shower and breakfast. 11:00 am chakra control, strategy, politics and law with Saratobis sensei. 1:00 p.m. lunch. 2:00 p.m. Kenjutsu training with Tobirama sensei. 5:00 p.m. advanced Fuin Jutsu with Minato sensei. At this level you should be able to identify certain level seals and unravel them. For example, trap seals, not a curse mark. 7:00 p.m. dinner. 9:00 p.m. bedtime. Year 5, Naruto, age 10. 6:00 am physical and earth jutsu training with Hashirama sensei. 500 punches and kicks with each arm and leg against a training post. Physical weights replaced with gravity seals. 10:00 am shower and breakfast. 11:00 p.m. chakra control, fire jutsus and bojutsu training with Saratobis sensei. 1:00 p.m. lunch. 2:00 p.m. kenjutsu, water jutsu and genjutsu training with Tobirama sensei. 5:00 p.m. wind, lightning and Fuin Jutsu training with Minato sensei. 8:00 p.m. dinner. 10:00 p.m. bedtime. Year 6, Naruto, age 11. 6:00 am physical and earth jutsu training with Hashirama sensei. 1,000 punches and kicks with each arm and leg. 10:00 am shower and breakfast. 11:00 am chakra control, fire jutsu and bojutsu training with Saratobis sensei. 1:00 p.m. lunch. 2:00 kenjutsu, water jutsu and genjutsu with Tobirama sensei. 5:00 p.m. wind, lightning and Fuin Jutsu with Minato sensei. 8:00 p.m. dinner. 10:00 bedtime. Year 7, Naruto, age 12. 6:00 am sparring Hashirama sensei. 9:00 am shower and breakfast. 10:00 am sparring Saratobis sensei. 1:00 p.m. lunch. 2:00 p.m. sparring Tobirama sensei. 5:00 p.m. sparring Minato sensei. 8:00 p.m. dinner. 10:00 p.m. bedtime. Author's note: Year 7 schedule is the schedule for the next 3 years. Otofukugai, Fire Country. I need a drink was the utmost thought of one Naruto Namikaze as he walked down the street towards a bar in Otofukugai. It's been 10 years since he began his torturous training in the shinobi arts. 9 years of training under his senseis and 1 year of real-world experience as a bounty hunter known only as Arisher. Naruto was now 6 feet 1 inch tall, chiseled medium-build body. His blonde hair that was in his youth short and spiky was now cornrowed towards the back of his head, and the end of which reached between his shoulder blades, and a face mask that covered everything from his nose to his throat. He was wearing a green camouflage flak jacket with a black t-shirt underneath. Over the flak jacket he wore a black sleeveless leather trench coat, and both his arms were wrapped in black athletic tape from elbow to wrist, and on his hands were black fingerless gloves. He was also wearing umbu-style pants with gray shin guards over black shinobi sandals. I need that drink and I need it now, Naruto thought with some urgency. The reason he was in need of a drink was because tomorrow he was going back to the village of his birth and offer his services as a shinobi. He promised his senseis he would give the village a chance to redeem themselves after what they did to him. He hasn't forgotten his earlier childhood, and he damn sure hasn't forgiven the people who tormented him. Naruto hastened his steps towards the bar so he could try and drown out the feeling of impending doom the thought of going back to the hidden leaf had created. When Naruto entered the tavern he headed straight for the bar and a bottle of sake. Bar, keep a bottle of sake over here, he said to the man behind the counter. You old enough to be in here, son? The man asked. Look, don't give me a hard time. If I can't hold my liquor then I shouldn't be drinking and I would deserve whatever I got. Just give me the damn bottle, he said sharply. Whatever, I'm not responsible just because you wanted to play grown up, he said, sitting down a bottle of sake and a saucer. Yeah, Naruto said, foregoing the saucer and drinking straight from the bottle. After downing half the bottle Naruto felt his nerves equalize again. Scanning the bar he let his eyes drift over the other patrons. It was just the usual assortment of people found in the less reputable bars in every town. Drunks, hookers, small-time crooks, no one worth the hassle of getting in a fight with. He was about to turn back to his bottle when his eyes pierced the darkness of a corner table, and he spotted a woman about 25 years old nursing a saucer of sake. She is too pretty to drink alone, he said quietly to himself before he raised his voice to the bar. Keep another bottle over. After receiving another bottle he made his way over to her table, and stopped just before entering the shadows himself. Excuse me miss, but you are way too pretty to be drinking alone, he said. The woman looked up from her saucer and stared at him with a pair of hypnotic dark eyes. I bet you say that to all the girls in dive bars like this, she said mockingly. There's never any one of your caliber of pretty in dive bars like this. I guess I just lucked out. May I join you? Sure, I wouldn't mind the company, she said with a small smile. How about a refill? He asked, holding up the sake bottle. In response she just slid her saucer closer to him. After pouring himself a saucer full he held it up out toward the woman across from him. To new acquaintances, he toasted. To new acquaintances, she said. The next morning, and sorry no lemon yet. The next morning Naruto woke up to the feeling of an empty bed. Groaning he pried his eyes open only to squeeze them shut again when the first thing he saw was a beam of sunlight. I really hate mornings. I'm sorry to hear that. I actually like mornings. At a chance to always start fresh, said a voice he immediately recognized from last night. Opening his eyes once more he turned to the voice which was near the bathroom door. Taking a good look at his partner in passion from last night he was disappointed to see she was already dressed. How'd you slip away from to get dressed? I've been told I'm a cuddler. It wasn't easy, believe me, but I have to go. My traveling companion will be up soon, and we have to get back on the road, she said. Traveling companion? That's not a secret way of saying your husband, is it? He asked, stealing glances at the door as if someone was going to charge through it at any minute. Ha, no, I'm not married. My traveling companion is my teacher and practically raised me. It was really nice meeting you and thanks for the company last night. I really needed it, she said, making her way over to him where he still laid reclined in the bed. She leaned over and kissed him softly on the lips before she pulled away and walked towards the bedroom door. Goodbye, Arisher, she said without turning back to face him. Goodbye, Shizen, he said to the empty room. Halt! A voice said sternly as Naruto was approaching the gates of his home village. After Shizen left the room it didn't take long for Naruto to follow suit. He took a quick shower and put on what he called his work clothes, a clean version of the outfit he wore the day before. He was stopped by 2 guards at the gates. The one that spoke had shaggy black hair, a goatee and a bandage across his nose, and was wearing the standard Konoha shinobi outfit with his headband across his forehead. His partner standing next to him had brown hair and dark eyes. He was also wearing the standard Konoha shinobi outfit with a bandana-style forehead protector. What's your business here? Asked the one with the bandage. I'm a bounty hunter. I have a priority bounty for the Hokage or Ibiki Marino. It's for their eyes only, Naruto said. Identification? Sighing, Naruto unhooked one of the pockets of his flak jacket and retrieved his bounty hunter's license to show to the guards. After both men looked over the ID and recorded the pertinent information it was given back to him. Alright, Arashi-san, head to the center of the village to the Hokage Tower, tall white building with a fire kanji on it. You'll find the Hokage on the top floor, said the bandana-wearing shinobi. Thank you, Naruto said, and made his way into the village proper. He walked slowly, trying to take in his surroundings as well as sort out his feelings about being back. Let's see, there's anger at being back here, there's resentment for making the damn promise in the first place. There's also excitement about seeing the old man again, but there's no nostalgia. It's official, I did not miss this place, just one person in it, Naruto thought to himself. While Naruto was lost in his thoughts, he walked on autopilot to the tower, and up the stairs, and before he knew it he was in front of the Hokage's secretary. "My name is Arisher. I have a priority bounty for the Hokage," he told the woman behind the desk. "Please have a seat, I'll see if the Hokage can see you now," she said, and knocked on the Hokage's stirring before entering. She was back before he even had a chance to get comfortable. "He can see you now, Arashi-san. Can I get you some tea or coffee?" she asked. "No thank you, miss," he declined politely and walked past her to the office. When he entered he was finally hit with a feeling of nostalgia. This was where it all changed for me, he thought, looking at the couch where he laid to recover from the beating of that night to the center of the floor where his four senseis literally popped into his life. Moving his eyes to the only other visible presence in the office, he almost stopped dead in his tracks. It's almost like a time warp. The last time I saw this man he was 30 years younger. What a mind fuck. "Arashi-san, I've heard about your exploits as a bounty hunter. I'm surprised to see someone so young with a reputation for always bringing in their target dead or alive," the old Kage said in a measured tone. "I was told you have a priority bounty for me." "Yes sir, I do. Aside from that I have other business I would like to speak with you about. First let us get this out of the way," he said, unlocking a pocket on his flak jacket and letting a scroll with a red band around it slide into his palm. "This is the head of Konoha missing ninja Aoi Rokusho," he said before retrieving another scroll from his pocket, this time a green one. "As further proof, in this scroll is the sword of the Thunder God, the Raijin." Saratobis immediately opened the green scroll to verify that it was indeed the sword of his sensei Tobirama Senju. Making a discreet hand signal, an Umbu with a bear mask appeared next to the Hokage. "Bear, take this scroll," he said, holding up the scroll with the red band to Umbu HQ, "and have them verify the remains of Aoi Rokusho." "Yes sir, Lord Hokage," the bear Umbu said before leaving in a shunsin. The Hokage looked back to the young man standing at attention in front of him. "That sword was worth 100 times more than Aoi Rokusho. You could have killed him and kept the sword. Why turn it in?" he asked suspiciously. Naruto was not at all offended by the question, having become used to no one trusting him, bounty hunters only being one step up from mercenaries. "I have too much respect for the Senju clan to keep a family heirloom. And I really had no need of it. It's not my style. While we wait for confirmation, could we move on to that other business I spoke of?" Raising a brow at the change of subject, Saratobis didn't think it would hurt to hear the young man out. It man helped jog his memory about why this boy seemed so familiar. "Yes, I don't see why not." Clearing his throat, Naruto said, "Well, what I have to say is sensitive information about myself. I would rather you be the only one to hear it for now," he said, making reference to the other hidden Umbu in the room. The old Kage nodded in agreement before signaling his Umbu to leave the room. "So what is the business you wanted to discuss with me?" he asked when they were alone. In response, Naruto simply pulled his face mask down and smiled at the way the old man's eyes bugged out. "Well, I wanted to see about joining the village sensei." "Oh Kami, Naruto," he said in a whisper, "before we go any further you should put up a security barrier. I don't want anything I'm about to say to get to the wrong people," Naruto said. Saratobis quickly activated a security seal under his desk, and before Naruto had a chance to brace himself he was picked up in a hug that could crush a tree trunk. "Wheeze, Gigi can't breath." Naruto managed to get out before he could lose consciousness. "Oh, I'm sorry my boy," said Saratobis, sitting Naruto back on his feet and stepping back only far enough to get a good look at him. "It's just so good to see you again. Quite honestly, I never expected you to come back here after what was done to you," said the old Kage. "I promised my senseis that I would give Konoha another chance. I was taught to forgive but never forget," he said solemnly. Saratobis nodded his head in understanding. "Speaking of your senseis, what happened to them after you finished training?" "What you would expect to happen when you have 4 warriors in their prime in one place. They decided to end their existence in a manner fitting them. A free-for-all Hokage battle royal," Naruto said with a smile. "I didn't stick around to view the results. I have a feeling I would have been caught in the crossfire had I stayed." Saratobis couldn't help but laugh at the prospect of going against both his senseis and Minato. "I would be very surprised if Yuzu is still standing after that battle. So tell me about your training, tell me about yourself." Both men moved back to their respective seats before Naruto outlined his training with the clones of previous Kages. "Training was what you would expect under such strong men. Grueling, tortuous. I was trained to death and beyond, and every second of it was worth it. They trained me for 9 years, and for the past year I've been gaining real-world experience as a bounty hunter." "Yes, as Arisher, as I've said before, you've quite the reputation for always bringing in your targets," the Hokage said, impressed with his skills. "Yes. It was during my work as a bounty hunter that I came across some information that pushed me into the decision to come to Konoha earlier than I expected." He paused there and looked the old Kage in his eyes. "Orochimaru is planning to invade your village during the last round of the Chunin exams when you host them this year," he said in a dead calm voice. Saratobis was first startled by the look in Naruto's eyes. Must have put him through hell before he even left the island. He wasn't kidding when he said they trained him to death and beyond. "How did you come across this information?" he asked back in Hokage mode. Naruto sighed and sat back in his seat. "I was passing through the land of Rice a few months ago, when I heard rumors of a new shinobi village looking for soldiers. It's called the Village Hidden in the Sound, by the way. So I hung around to see what the place was about. Suffice it to say, when I found out that Orochimaru was the Hokage, I did not have a good feeling about the intentions of the village as a whole. The only reason I didn't hightail it straight away was because I wanted to first gather some information just in case I would need it later. They were prepping for something big. I was one of the lone men on the totem pole, so I wasn't privy to sensitive information, but a couple of wannabe jonin who couldn't hold their liquor were. They told me they were prepping for an invasion of Konoha. Naruto stopped there to let what he said sink in. Sink in it did. Saratobis' mind was going a mile a minute. Arrangements have to be made, a full council meeting to plan a counterstrike, provisions for civilians, and find out where the hell Jiraiya is. He's supposed to be my spy master. Why didn't he know this? Saratobi thought to himself. You okay over there, sensei? Because there is something else I want to get out of the way. It's about me joining the ranks. I know there is a law on the books that says as long as a citizen of Konoha was trained by a chunin ranked or higher member of the ninja ranks, then with the approval of the Hokage and sensei they can skip the academy. That is exactly what I want to do. Naruto said. How did you know that? That law is as old as I am. You taught me, he said simply. I don't see a problem with that. Sending you to the academy would do more harm than good in your case. Is there anything else? Yeah, I'll be going by Arisher for the time being. I'm not ready to announce my return just yet. Like I said, I can forgive, but I won't forget. I won't let an unprovoked attack go with serious repercussions either, he said in a cold voice to match his now ice-cold eyes. Very well, you will be under probation for at least a year to prove your loyalty. The reason for this is if you are not under probation, then the question becomes what makes you so special to already have my trust? And I assume we want to avoid such questions. Would you like me to arrange a place for you live? He asked. That's okay, I can handle that myself. You know you will have the rank of Genin, and if you wish to be promoted then you will have to go through the Chunin and Jonin exams? Come to the missions office tomorrow 10 a.m. to receive your first mission. You'll either work solo or on an already established Genin team until I can find you something permanent. I'll see you tomorrow then, Sensei, Naruto said, bowing to the Hokage and making his way towards the door. Arisher. Saratobi spoke suddenly. You're going to need this. Naruto aka Arisher turned around and caught what was tossed to him, and it turned out to be a headband with the leaf symbol on it, and a long black strap similar to the Hokage's own. Thanks Gigi, Naruto said, smiling at the old man before he walked out. Outside on the streets, first order of business is to find some food. Let's see, what do I want? Ramen, barbecue, ramen, dango, ramen, sushi or ramen? Tough choice. He was brought out of his thoughts by someone saying his name. Arisher, is that you? A voice said just ahead of him. Asuma? He asked, surprised to see the bearded chain smoker here. Asuma Saratobi was a man he had met when he first started out in the bounty hunter business. Back then he looked kind of like a bum compared to the clean look he had now. He was wearing a standard Konoha outfit with a sash with the kanji for fire on it at his waist. Well, never expected to meet you in Konoha of all places. You here for work? He asked while blowing out smoke from the side of his mouth. Actually, yeah, I am. I'm also here to join the ranks, he said, holding up his new headband. Well, that calls for a welcoming drink. I'm buying. I won't be turning down a free drink. Come on, I know a place that's close by, Asuma said, leading the way past a few food stalls. It was a silent 5-minute walk before they came to a bar called the Wet Leaf. It was a shinobi hangout, a place much like the dive bars he was used to hanging out in. It was a place where if you mind your manners and your own business you could have a good time. They got a couple of bottles of sake and were about to choose a table before Asuma saw some people he knew. You mind if we join some friends of mine? He asked. Not at all, lead the way. Asuma made his way to a table in the back corner of the room. At the table were 3 people that Naruto knew on sight. He never met them but knows their faces from various bingo books. Hey guys, this is Arisher. Arisher, let me introduce. He was interrupted before he could continue. No need to introduce these people. This is Kurenai Yuhi, Genjutsu specialist. She has a $5 million bounty in the Hidden Grass Village for castrating one of their top-ranking jonin. Next to her is Anko Midarashi, wanted in the Hidden Rock Village, 10 million alive and 5 million dead, snake summoner, poison and interrogation specialist, approach with extreme caution. Copycat Kakashi Hataki, ninjutsu specialist said to have copied 1,000 jutsu, extremely intelligent and has a bounty in Kumo for $15 million for his participation in the last war, and wanted in the Hidden Rock for 50 million for his participation in the war and also for being a student of the 4th Hokage. Man, Asuma, you keep some pretty famous and dangerous company, Naruto said, chuckling. His recitation of their bounty sheets got a reaction out of all 3 at the table. Anko smirked at hearing the price on her head. Ha ha ha, any job worth doing is worth doing, right, she said, raising a cup of sake to her lips. I only wished I hadn't cut his balls off so quick. The next time I'll heat up a rusty, dull knife and then cut someone's balls off, Kurenai said with ice in her voice. Kakashi simply lowered his book, which was a big tell if you knew the man. Who's your friend Asuma? He seems to know us quite well. Kakashi asked nonchalantly. I'm Arisher. I was a bounty hunter up until about 20 minutes ago when I joined the Hidden Leaf. It was part of my job to remember notable bounties, Naruto said, shrugging away the question. So you're new in town, huh? How do you like it so far? Asked Anko. Naruto looked her in the eye. Well, I've only been in town a short while, but everything I've laid my eyes on is absolutely breathtaking, he said, making Anko blush slightly. Arisher? As in the bounty hunter? I've heard of you, they call you the perfect storm, Because of your perfect bounty record, Kakashi said, jumping into the conversation. Chuckling sheepishly, Naruto scratched the back of his head and I smiled to the people at the table. I'd rather have a much cooler name than Perfect Storm. With that kind of name, there's a lot of pressure to succeed, he said, looking off in the distance, as if seeing the future. What happens when I fail? I'll be mocked and ridiculed. Then I'll start drinking heavily to hide the hurt, and when booze doesn't work, I'll turn to drugs. My job performance will steadily decline and I'll get ridiculed even more. When the booze and drugs refuse to work, I'll turn to women to help hide the pain in a few hours of mutual ecstasy. That will last a few years until the right woman comes along and sets me back on the right path, only for an old enemy to surface and kill her in an act of revenge. We clash in a battle of epic proportions, and when the dust is cleared, only the body of my enemy is left behind, while I disappear never to be seen again, he said, rain clouds forming over his head. I should go find the bastard who gave me that nickname. He ruined my life. The others were stuck with their mouths open and sweat drops in the back of their heads for his rant that came out of nowhere. Asuma coughed lightly to break the silence. Anyway, I met Arisher in the capital when I was still a guardian. We hung out when he was in town. So why did you decide to join Konoha? I thought you were happy bounty hunting. I was happy, but I figured I could be a better service to the Land of Fire in a more direct way as an official shinobi, Naruto explained. So where in the Land of Fire were you born? Kurenai asked. Oh, just outside of Konoha. Not very far really, he said vaguely. Technically true, he was born outside of the village walls, so what's there fun to do around here? I officially start my shinobi career tomorrow, so I want to have some fun before I'm on call 24/7. Well, I know of a couple of places we could go to, but I have serious doubts about you keeping up with the adults, Enko said. That sounds like a challenge to me, Naruto said, standing and leaning over the table directly in her face. That was definitely a challenge, Blondie. I could drink you under the table in an hour, she said, raising a sake bottle up and toasting Naruto. Bottoms up, brat, she said, chugging from the bottle. Naruto picked up his own bottle. Yours will be by the end of the night, he said, smirking and taking a drink. Enko starting choking on her drink. I wonder, Enko, are you blushing or is that red on your face from almost choking to death? Kakashi asked casually, only to crash face first into the table from a punch to the head from said red-faced girl. Barkeep 10 bottles of your best sake. Loser pays the tab, Enko challenged. Deal, Naruto accepted. Soundtrack to their drinking contest. Nickelback, burn it to the ground. Well, it's midnight, damn right we're wound up too tight. I've got fists full of 50s, the bottle just bit me. Oh, that shit makes me batshit crazy. We've got no fear, no doubt, all in balls out. We're going off tonight, hey, to kick out every light, hey, take anything we want, hey, drink everything in sight, hey, we're going till the world stops spinning, while we burn it to the ground tonight. We're screaming like demons, swinging from the ceilings. I've got a fist full of 50s. Tequila just hit me. Oh, we got no class, no taste, no shirt, shit-faced. We got him lined up, shot down, firing back straight crown. We're going off tonight, hey, to kick out every light, hey, take anything we want, hey, drink everything in sight, hey. We're going till the world stops spinning, while we burn it to the ground tonight. Ticking like a time bomb, drinking till the night's gone. Get your hands off this glass, last call, my ass. Well, no chain, no lock, and this train won't stop. We got no friend, no doubt, all in balls out. We're going off tonight, hey, to kick out every light, hey. Take anything we want, hey, drink everything in sight, hey, we're going till the world stops spinning, while we burn it to the ground tonight. 6 months later. Ah man, I'm so bored. Arisher complained out loud for anyone to hear. It's been just over 6 months since he entered into the service of Konoha, and it's been just over 6 months of a living hell. Well, not complete hell. Enko has been a continuous bright spot for him, but other than Enko, it's been errands for the Hokage, chores for the civilians, and training. He's on his way to the Hokage now after receiving word that he wanted to see him. Deciding to forego the long walk, he used the Shun Shinjutsu to appear directly at the outer door of the Hokage's office. He was about to knock when he heard a loud enter. You sent for me, Hokage-sama? He asked. Yes, I did, Arisher, the Hokage said, looking up from his paperwork. I've found a team for you. It's a brand new genin squad that just graduated the academy. One of the members had a nervous breakdown after the Capture Tora mission and now refuses to leave his home, so that leaves an opening for you, he explained. Naruto bowed his head in a moment of silence for whoever that poor bastard was. He himself had to catch Tora at least 10 times in the last 6 months by himself, and if he had to catch that thing again, he would not be responsible for his actions. So whose team am I on? I know that the only new squads belong to Asuma, Kurenai, and Kakashi, so who is the lucky winner? That would be Kakashi. I have some more good news for you. Kakashi put in for a C-rank mission before he discovered his students' mental issues. They should be waiting at the east gate for you right now. I know being cooped up in the village has been grating on you, so take this chance to stretch your legs. Naruto, I smiled at the old man. Thank you, Hokage-sama. It'll be good to travel again. If they're waiting, I'd better get going, he said, making his way to the door. East gate. Kakashi-sensei, what are we waiting for? We were supposed to leave 10 minutes ago, questioned one pink-haired impatient kunoichi named Sakura Haruno. She was standing next to an equally impatient Sasuke Uchiha. They're both wearing canon outfits. I got lazy this far into the chapter. We are waiting for your new teammate. He should be arriving soon, so just be patient a little longer, he said with his nose in his favorite book. Tazuna, the man they were to escort on this mission, just leaned against the gate seemingly without a care in the world. No need to wait any longer, I'm here, Naruto announced from on top of the guard's shack to the side of the gate. Tazuna, Sakura and Sasuke were visibly surprised by the sudden appearance of another human being. Where did he come from? Sakura thought frantically. Damn it! I didn't even know he was there until he spoke. Sasuke thought mad at himself for dropping his guard. Tazuna's response to the sudden appearance was to reach for his jug of sake and take a swig to steady his nerves. Well, since we're all here, because Kaido is unable to continue his career, this is his replacement Arisher. Arisher, this is Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha. The man leaning on the gate is Tazuna the bridge builder. It's our mission to get him back to his country of Wave and protect him while he finishes his bridge. We can save the proper introductions for later, we're already behind schedule, we should get going, Kakashi said, turning and moving towards the gate. Well, it's nice meeting the both of you, I hope we can work well together, Arisher said and followed Kakashi out the gate. Sakura and Sasuke followed behind the two after that very brief introduction. The new Team 7 was currently walking in the diamond formation. Arisher was at the front, having more experience than the other two and thereby being more able to spot an ambush or enemy shinobi. Sakura and Sasuke were to the left and right of Tazuna, who was in the center with Kakashi bringing up the rear. An hour after quiet traveling, Sakura decided to break the silence and try and get some information on her new masked teammate. So Arashi-san, I don't recall seeing you in the academy, how long have you been a shinobi? She asked. Sasuke broke himself out of his brooding enough to listen in on the conversation, because even though he was curious, he would be damned before he actually asked any questions himself. Well, officially only about 6 months, but I was a bounty hunter before joining Konoha, he replied. What was that like? It was okay. I wasn't tied down to one place and I could take any job I wanted to or refuse a job if I wanted to with no consequences. As they were talking, Arisher was constantly surveying his surroundings, never dropping his guard as he was taught, which is why he caught the very pitiful genjutsu disguised as a puddle and held up a hand calling a halt to the walk. That's not a very good cover. It hasn't rained in at least a week, you would have had better luck disguising yourselves as a puddle of piss, Arisher said, much to the confusion of 3 out of the other 4 people there. Up out of the puddle rose 2 men in tattered cloaks. Both men had breathing masks on and headbands from the hidden mist village. They were also wearing iron-clawed gauntlets connected to each other's hand by a shuriken chain. Very funny, Blondie. Now why don't you hand over the old man and I give you my word to kill you quickly, the one on the right said. The demon brothers, Meizu and Gozu, Chunin level missing Nin from the hidden mist. Why don't you two give us the name of whoever hired you and I give you my word that you'll spend less time in the torture and interrogation division than necessary, Kakashi said casually as he walked up to the front of the formation, his book nowhere in sight. The demon brothers shared a brief glance before they both said no deal and attacked. Arisher, Sasuke, take them, Kakashi ordered. The brothers separated to extend the shuriken chain attached to their gauntlets, and rushed forward to wrap it around the 2 genin who met them halfway. Arisher quickly summoned a shuriken and infused it with wind chakra and threw it at the chain connecting the 2 together. The chain was cut cleanly in half. Arisher put on a burst of speed and appeared in front of the brother that had spoken. I'm just going to name this one Gozu. Gozu only had one thought before he felt an explosion of pain, then nothing fast. Naruto grabbed the back of his opponent's head and pulled it down while performing a jumping knee strike to the face. Gozu was lifted off the ground and thrown back by the power behind the attack. Before gravity could do its job, Arisher appeared above the still floating Gozu and hit him with a heel drop to the stomach, driving Gozu into the ground and creating a small crater. Brother, you should worry more about yourself, Sasuke said, appearing next to the distracted Meizu and delivering a bone-cracking kick to his ribs that sent him head first into a tree, knocking him unconscious. Both fights took less than 5 seconds. Kakashi was smiling at his 2 students as he tied the 2 unconscious brothers up. Very good, both of you, no hesitation, and you exploited their weaknesses. Now Tazuna-san, he said, dropping the smile and leaking very mild killing intent, you mind telling me why you're important enough to have Chunin level ninja after you? After listening to Tazuna stammer his way through his story, Kakashi put the fate of the mission to a team vote. It's up to you guys if we continue or not. This mission will only get more difficult from here on out, he cautioned. That's true, the demon brothers are known associates of Zabuza Momochi. If these 2 are here, then he's probably going to be the next obstacle we come across. I'm in, Arisher said. So am I. This is my first mission outside the village. I refuse to have an incomplete on my record, Sasuke said. I'm going too. If Sasuke-kun's going, so am I. Then it's decided. Tazuna will finish the mission and protect you and your family to the best of our abilities, Kakashi said. Thank you all so much. It was a tense group of 5 people making their way out of a rowboat onto the main island of Wave Country. Knowing they could be attacked at any moment by someone of Zabuza's caliber had everyone on full alert throughout their travels. The group had resumed the diamond formation with Arisher and Kakashi switching positions, with Kakashi on point and Arisher watching everyone's back. It was a silent walk. Even Sakura kept her silence after the ordeal with the demon brothers. A rustle in the bushes to the right of the formation had everyone tensing even further, ready for whatever was to come next. Sasuke was the first to react, launching a kunai in the direction of the noise. Arisher, check it out, Kakashi ordered. Summoning a kunai from the storage seal on the palm side of his right-hand glove, Arisher approached the bush cautiously. Looking beyond the bush, Arisher relaxed slightly as he saw the kunai stuck in a tree just above the head of a scared white rabbit. He picked up the rabbit and kunai and went back to the group. Just a rabbit, here's your kunai, he said, handing the weapon back to Sasuke, who put it away without a word. The fur of the rabbit is all wrong for this time of year. It should have a brown coat, This animal was raised indoors as soon as Kakashi finished speaking. A very audible whistle could be heard. "Get down!" Kakashi screamed before dragging Tazuna to the ground with him. In a blur of motion, a massive sword flew over their heads and embedded itself in a tree on the other side of the road they were traveling on. A moment after the sword was lodged in the tree, a figure appeared on the handle. He was a fairly tall, muscular man with pale skin, short, spiky black hair, brown eyes, and almost non-existent eyebrows. White bandages covered the lower half of his face, and he had a headband turned sideways on his head. He had no shirt on, just a thick leather strap most likely used to carry his massive zanbanto. He also had on baggy striped pants, arm and leg warmers. Well, if it isn't copycat Kakashi. When I saw you I knew why the demon brothers failed. I'm surprised to see you toting these three brats along with you, the still unnamed swordsman said mockingly. Zabuza Momochi, demon of the bloody mist. To be honest with you, the only thing I did to the demon brothers was tie them up. These two brats, as you call them, he said, gesturing towards Arisher and Sasuke, took care of them like they were academy students, Kakashi said back smugly. Zabuza narrowed his eyes on first Sasuke and then Arisher before dismissing them. HMPF. Don't make me laugh, Kakashi. Why don't you hand over the old man and I'll do you the favor of letting your students leave with their lives? Sasuke was clenching and unclenching his fists in anger. First at the meaningless talk going on between the two, and then at being so casually dismissed. Who the hell does this guy think he is? Doesn't he know I'm from the elite Uchiha clan? I'll show this bastard not to dismiss me. He was about to charge him when he was brought up short by Kakashi's voice. Stay in formation, Sasuke. He is beyond your skills at the moment, Kakashi said, never taking his eyes off Zabuza. The great Kakashi Hatake playing babysitter to a bunch of wet behind the ears twerps. How the mighty have fallen, Zabuza said. What about your own student, Zabuza? Arisher asked, speaking for the first time since Zabuza's appearance. Zabuza's eyes widened in surprise briefly before he returned to a neutral expression. The shock was not missed by Arisher or Kakashi. What student are you talking about, boy? Zabuza asked in a condescending tone. The one who left the scent of medicinal herbs on the fur of this rabbit, he said, holding up the animal he hadn't let go since he picked it up. The same scent of medicinal herbs being carried on the wind in our direction from about 50 yards to our right, he said matter-of-factly. Zabuza was shocked that this brat had pinpointed Haku's position on scent alone. Who is this kid? If I can't fight him, his student will have to do, Sasuke thought before he took off into the trees in the direction Arisher had indicated his opponent would be in, ignoring Kakashi and Sakura's shouts. Stupid fucking, angst-ridden little bastard. If he survives, I'll kill the little shit myself, Kakashi thought to himself. Chuckling to himself, Zabuza grabbed the rest of the group's attention. Don't worry, I doubt if he is outright killed. If you get past me, you might have a chance to save him. So how about we get started? He said, disappearing from the tree with his sword and reappearing standing on a nearby river, already finishing a hand seal hidden mist jutsu. After announcing his jutsu, a thick mist rolled in from the river and trees, completely obscuring everyone's view. Zabuza's voice was projected throughout the mist. 8 points on the human body that guarantees death: larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys and heart. Which one should I aim for? As he was naming the spots, he was also increasing his killing intent. By the time he got to the heart, Tazuna was sweating bullets and was moments from passing out. Sakura wasn't far behind him. I don't want to die. I can't take this, it feels like my lungs are about to explode. I have to end this now. With those frantic thoughts, Sakura reached for a kunai in her weapons pouch ready to end her torment, when someone stayed her hand. She followed the gloved hand into the piercing blue eyes of Arisher. You can get through this, Sakura. The only way to counter killing intent is with some of your own. Imagine, Zabuza just said. Sasuke was gay. Arisher stepped back and nodded his head as a fire was lit in Sakura's eyes as she released enough killing intent to take her mind off killing herself. Good job, both of you. Now enough with the hide and seek, Zabuza, Kakashi said. You're right. That is enough because this game is over, Zabuza said, looming up behind Tazuna with his sword above his head about to bring it down on the startled bridge builder. You're finished, he said, bringing his weapon down. Squelch, drip 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 water clone, Kakashi exclaimed as Arisher pulled Tazuna and Sakura out of the immediate area of combat so they wouldn't be caught in the crossfire. You didn't think it would that easy, did you, Kakashi? Zabuza said, appearing behind Kakashi, cutting him in half only for the body to disperse into water. What? He said, surprised before he stilled as he felt a knife at his throat. I didn't expect it to be easy, Zabuza, but apparently you did, Kakashi said, appearing behind the startled swordsman with his Sharingan eye exposed. Zabuza turned slightly to look at him. The Sharingan, you copied my jutsu even through the mist. I'm honored you have the need to use it. Good, you can take that honor with you to the afterlife, Kakashi said, and stabbed Zabuza in the throat only for it to be another water clone. Zabuza came out of the foliage in a burst of speed, prepared to kick Kakashi into the river when his leg was blocked by a forearm and his ankle was grabbed in a vice-like grip. He had enough time to be surprised at the fact that the blonde brat was the one to block his attack before Kakashi delivered a side kick square to his chest that sent him skidding along the ground and into the river himself. I was wondering when you would come out of hiding. I was about to come in and get you, Arisher said. How did you know I was hiding? Tapping his ears slightly. Water clones don't have heartbeats, he said simply. You're starting to be a real pain in the ass, boy, Zabuza growled out before getting to his feet and going through a chain of hand seals as Kakashi appeared before him. Kakashi was also going through hand seals. They both finished at the same time, announcing their jutsu. Water release, water dragon bullet jutsu. Water release, water dragon bullet jutsu. The two massive water dragons clashed together and fought for dominance briefly before they both dispersed. Is that all you can do, is copy me like a damn monkey? He yelled in anger. That moment of anger caused him, as Arisher took it as an opportunity to appear next to a startled Zabuza with a bow staff, swinging it into his arm. Crack! The sound of a broken bone could be heard throughout the clearing as Zabuza was launched into a tree. Arisher was running across the water about to finish the fight with an overhead strike to crush Zabuza's skull when he pulled up short to avoid saban needles that were thrown at him. Appearing next to Zabuza was what appeared to be a mist hunter ninja, if the mask was anything to go by. This is not over, Konoha ninja, a soft voice behind the mask said before Zabuza was scooped up and they both left in a water shunshin. Damn it, they got away. Kakashi-sensei, how you doing? Arisher asked as he was back to the shore where Kakashi was already waiting. Better than I expected after uncovering the Sharingan. It drains my chakra faster than I would like. Any more big jutsu after that water dragon would have had me laid out with chakra exhaustion, he said before turning to Tazuna. Even though they're gone, I'm not comfortable out here in the open. We'll collect Sasuke, then make our way to Tazuna's home. Later that night, after arriving at Tazuna's home and being introduced to his family, his daughter Tsunami was a beautiful woman in her late 20s with long black hair and soulful dark eyes. His grandson Inari was brooding child of about 8 or 9 with black hair covered with a white bucket hat, dark eyes, green overalls with a yellow shirt beneath it. When everyone was introduced, they gathered in the living room where Sakura was currently tending to Sasuke's wounds, minor though they were. When we found him, he looked like a porcupine with saban needles sticking out all around his body. He even had a few stuck in his ass. First of all, Sasuke, if you ever run off on your own again without orders from me, the next we have a mission outside the village, I'll send you back to the academy for remedial classes on teamwork. Do you understand? Kakashi said in a no-nonsense tone. HN was Sasuke's reply before he was hoisted in the air by his pissed-off teacher by his throat. You left the formation and left an opening that could have caused us the client's life. If the civilian council didn't kiss your ass, you would be bounced from the ranks for a stunt like that. I will not pander to your already massive ego and superiority complex. You will either follow orders or you will not survive in the field with me, Kakashi growled out, and when I speak to you, you will open your mouth and respond with words. You will not grunt at me like I'm one of your fucking fans. Do you understand me, Genin? Yes, Sasuke said as clear as possible. What? Yes, sensei, came Sasuke's strangled voice before Kakashi dropped him and moved back to his seat, while Sasuke took greedy gulps of air. I apologize for that scene. Anyway, we're not done with Zabuza and his tag-along yet. They managed to get away, but with Zabuza's broken arm he won't be combat ready for quite some time unless he calls in reinforcements. Before that happens, we are going to track him down and finish what we started, and Gato as well. Before all that though, Sasuke, tell me how Zabuza's student fought. Coughing slightly, long-range fighter Sasuke's voice came out almost as a whisper. He kept to the trees and surrounding bushes and launched senbons from my blind spots. He's fast, but he never used any jutsu, so I don't know what element he uses. Alright, get some rest. Tomorrow, Sasuke. Sakura, I'll be upping your training. Arisher, you'll go to the bridge with Tazuna and guard him until I relieve you. Yes, sensei, was the reply from the 3 genins before they all moved to the stairs to their designated rooms. The next day. Okay, now the training I have in mind is a chakra control exercise. It's called tree climbing. The point of this exercise is to channel chakra into the soles of your feet and stick to the surface of the tree. After explaining, Kakashi approached a tree in the wooded area where he had gathered Sasuke and Sakura first thing after breakfast. He stopped in front of a fairly tall tree and made the ram hand seal. After finding the correct amount, he placed one foot then the other on the base of the tree and began to walk up it as if walking on the ground. Both Sasuke and Sakura gaped at this display. Chakra control is one of the most important and fundamental skills a ninja can possess. For example, if you take 2 people with an equal amount of chakra reserves and had them perform the same jutsu, I guarantee that the person who has better control could use that same jutsu more than the person who just poured chakra into it. A person with great chakra control can also use it to enhance other things like their speed or even their strength. After the explanation, Kakashi jumped out of the tree and approached his students. Any questions? Why isn't Arashi-san here for this training? Sakura asked. I know he hasn't been on the team long, and I should have had Arisher introduce himself properly, but there hasn't been an opportunity. So I'll tell you a little about him. Arisher was trained outside of the village. He was born in the Land of Fire, and prior to joining Konoha 6 months ago, he was a successful bounty hunter. He is beyond this level of training, and frankly, the only reason he is here now is to gain experience working on a team. If you want to know more than that, you will have to ask him. Now approach a tree and get started. Mark your progress with a kunai, he said, pulling his favorite book out of his hip pouch and walking over to a nearby stump to get some reading in. A word of advice: too much chakra and you'll be blown off, too little and you won't stick at all. It wasn't even 10 minutes later that a voice of excitement sounded throughout the clearing. Hey Kakashi-sensei, this doesn't seem so hard, Sakura said from her spot about 30 feet off the ground sitting on a branch. Very good, Sakura. Now that your break is over, complete the exercise and get to the top, he said, pointing towards the canopy. Sakura looked towards the top of the tree and fought back a shiver at the height. Yes, sensei. When you reach the top, I want you to practice running up and down the tree until you can't do it anymore, then take a break and continue running. The reason it was so easy for you is because your reserves are small. The continuous exhaustion will build up your reserves. Sasuke, instead of a running start, lay down at the base and place your feet on the trunk and find the right amount that will allow you to stick to the tree and then go from there. A week later. It has been a week since the Konoha ninjas and their client arrived in Wave. Things have been mostly quiet with no sign of Gato or Zabuza. Sakura and Sasuke have both completed the tree walking exercise and were now in rotation with Arisher as bodyguards for Tazuna. Kakashi was trying to think of a way to track down Zabuza and his accomplice. While all this was going on, there was also a very tense atmosphere whenever Inari, Tazuna's grandson, was around. He just seemed to suck all the positive feelings out of the room. All the tension came to a head one evening at the dinner table. Why do you try so hard? You'll never beat someone like Gato. He's too strong and you're stupid for even trying. Arisher turned toward the speaker, which turned out to be Inari. So what does that make your grandfather? Is he stupid for trying to stop Gato? I don't think so. I think that makes him damn courageous to put his life on the line for his home and for his family. He's doing a hell of a lot more than you are. What do you know? You don't know what it's like to live here. If you go against Gato, you're just going to die like everyone else. Inari screamed with tears in his eyes. I'm tired of hearing your mouth. You think you're the only person to suffer. Try being poisoned, beaten, and stabbed on a damn near daily basis. When you weren't being attacked, you were being glared at or ignored until the next time someone wanted to vent their frustration out on you. What about your grandfather? You don't think he suffers from the fact that every time he leaves you two alone, it might be the last time he sees you? You don't think your mom suffers the same way? They suffer, but unlike you, your mom still finds the strength to encourage Tazuna to do the right thing. You're nothing but a coward, and I'm tired of looking at you. With that said, Naruto used the leaf Shunshin to leave a stunned and silent audience. It is him. Why wouldn't the Hokage tell me he came back? Kakashi thought to himself. With Naruto in the woods, that damn brat making me lose my control like that. Fuck it, shadow clone jutsu. Out of the smoke of the jutsu popped about 100 clones. Alright guys, let's burn off some of this energy. You got it, boss. Attack, bring it. The next morning, Arisher suddenly sprang awake. The next morning, it took him a moment to realize he was holding a struggling figure in an arm-lock submission hold. He couldn't see a face because his legs were stretched across the face of the person. Adding a little more pressure to the hold, he growled out, "Who are you?" "I was just collecting herbs when I saw you sleeping. I was just going to wake you." Hearing the rushed explanation as well as the soft voice, Arisher immediately let the person go. Sitting up, he got a good look at the person whose arm he almost broke. He couldn't tell if it was a very feminine guy or a very beautiful girl. Long straight black hair, brown eyes, and a choker around the neck. A low-cut pink sleeveless kimono and light brown sandals. While Arisher was studying his mystery guest, that person was also rethinking approaching the masked shinobi. "Kami, my arm's on fire." What was I thinking approaching him? If he can keep up with Zabuza-sama, then he is indeed very formidable, were the thoughts of the stranger. "I'm sorry for startling you, but it's a very dangerous time in Wave right now. I'm Haku, by the way." Arisher, "Sorry for that, but it's kind of a reflex," he said, gesturing toward the arm Haku was flexing, trying to get rid of the tingling sensation. "So you said you were out here collecting herbs. You shouldn't venture out alone right now. Like you said, it's a very dangerous time. I usually avoid trouble by coming out in the early morning. I better get back to my collecting," said the now named Haku. "Look, since I'm the reason you spilled your herbs, why don't I help you collect some more? It'll go a lot faster." Arisher offered. "Thank you for your kind offer," Haku said, smiling a little. They went about collecting various herbs when Haku decided to break the silence. "So I noticed your headband. You're a ninja, right?" "Yeah, I was out here letting off some steam last night. It was pretty late when I finally calmed down, so I decided to sleep out here." "So Haku, how long have you lived in Wave?" "Not long, my guardian and I travel a lot, and we sort of got stuck here," Haku replied. "So what does your guardian do that requires so much travel?" Haku hesitated for a moment before an answer came to mind. "He's a craftsman of a particular art that is always in high demand. I don't practice it myself, so don't ask me to explain it to you. I hope being stuck in Wave hasn't dulled his skills." "It's getting pretty late. Would you like me to walk you home?" Arisher asked. Haku was quick to respond. "No thank you, my guardian would not take it well if I showed a stranger where we were staying." "Do you mind if I ask you something? As a shinobi, why do you fight?" Arisher took a moment to ponder that question. "Well, I guess it all started when I was a kid. I didn't have anyone for a while as a child, and I always wanted to learn to defend myself. Now I fight because it's all I know." "Do you consider yourself strong?" "Strong enough now, but I'm not nearly as strong as I want to be," Arisher answered back. "I believe if you have people to protect someone precious to you, then you can become truly strong." "That's a nice belief to have, and I think I already have some candidates for precious people." "It was nice meeting you, Haku. Get home safely," he said before turning and walking away. "You as well," Haku said before doing the same. "Wait, Haku. This is just going to bug me until I know, are you a guy or a girl?" "I'm a guy," Haku said, chuckling and then laughing out loud when he noticed the paleness of the masked shinobi before he turned and continued his walk. At Tazuna's house, all was quiet at the breakfast table. No one has seen Arisher or Inari since dinner the previous night. Tazuna and Tsunami were worried about the effects the young ninja's words would have on Inari. Sakura was curious about Arashi's childhood. Sasuke put the whole episode out of his mind already. If it didn't involve him, he or Itachi, he didn't care. Kakashi was wondering how to approach Arisher with what he knew about him. They were all pulled from their thoughts by the sound of footsteps on the stairs. Coming down the stairs was Inari, only he was wearing something a lot different than his usual blue overalls and yellow shirt. He was wearing what looked to be an old pair of blue jeans, a white t-shirt with a black and red flannel jacket over top of it. In his hands looked to be a brand new pair of construction boots, and around his neck was a white towel similar to what Tazuna himself usually wears around his neck. However, the most noticeable thing about little Inari was the determined look in his young eyes. There was a fire there that neither Tazuna nor Tsunami had seen before. Tsunami was the first to get over her shock. Inari, honey, what are you wearing and where do you think you're going? I'm going to help Grandpa with the bridge. That Arisher guy was right, I haven't done anything to help. All I've been doing is acting like a coward. Well, from now on I'm going to do my part and help Grandpa with the bridge, and when he doesn't need me I'll help you around the house. No more crying and no more complaining. It's time to grow up, Inari said, his voice never wavering. There's nothing wrong with crying, especially if you're happy. The voice of Arisher startled everyone in the room because all attention was on Inari. No one saw him enter. Well, Inari, if you plan to put in a full day I suggest you eat. You're going to need your energy. Following his own advice, Arisher sat down at the table and helped himself to some eggs, bacon and toast. I don't know if that's a traditional Japanese breakfast or not, so please don't make an issue out of it. Inari sat down next to Arisher and ate the same as he did. Kakashi-sensei, I had a little run-in this morning I think you should be aware of. He paused until his sensei gave him his full attention. I came across Zabuza's accomplice. Or I should say his accomplice came across me asleep in a clearing this morning. I know he knew who I was, but I didn't let on that I knew who he was. We spoke for a while and I have a way to track them to their hideout. Kami willing it doesn't rain. Why didn't you just bring him here? We could have interrogated him to get Zabuza's location. I would have, but after speaking with him, he would have taken that location to the grave. He is extremely loyal to Zabuza, not like the demon brothers, Arisher explained. Alright, here is the plan for today. Sasuke and Sakura will guard Tazuna and Inari. Arisher, you leave some clones here to guard Tsunami, while we track the accomplice to the hideout. No matter what, be back here no later than noon just in case we have to make any plans. After Kakashi laid out the orders for the day, everyone went about their business as usual. Tazuna left to go work on the bridge with Sasuke, Sakura and Inari following behind him, after leaving Tsunami with a couple of clones in the house and a few more spread throughout the property. Arisher led Kakashi to the spot where he encountered Haku. It didn't take long for Pakin, Kakashi's summoned dog, to track Haku back to a treehouse hideout. No doubt about it, the scent is up there, said Pakin. Pakin was a miniature pug with brown fur, a blue vest and a Konoha headband worn on top of his head. He also wore a white bandage around his right front leg. He had a deep gruff voice and was obsessed with the feeling of his paw pads. Thank you, Pakin, you can return now, Kakashi said. See ya, Kakashi, and with that he disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Alright, let's check the surroundings for traps and meet back here in an hour, Kakashi's ordered. Yes, Sensei, Arisher replied and disappeared into the foliage. 1 hour later. Well, anything? Kakashi asked when he returned from his own recon to find Arisher waiting for him. Nothing. Either Zabuza is that confident in his skills even after what we did to him, or he was never expecting us to come looking for him. How about you? Same here. No traps of any kind, not even an early warning system. I still say we approach with caution. What's the plan once we make contact? The plan is to get to Gato. I'm guessing Zabuza knows where his main base is. If Zabuza was still part of a hidden village and getting his orders from a Hokage, then this wouldn't be an option. But since he's in this for the money, maybe he can be reasoned with or paid more, Kakashi explained. Okay, so how do you want to get their attention? With subtlety. Inside the treehouse, Haku was applying an herbal poultice to Zabuza's shoulder, which he had injured after he was hit into a tree. Zabuza-sama, with one arm broken and with the damage to the other, even with my skills it will be at least 3 weeks before you are a challenge to someone of Hitaki's skill. If you were to fight against him in this condition you would surely die. And not just Kakashi, either the blonde brat as well. The demon of the mist growled out, if we can't beat them we're going. Whatever he was going to say was cut off as 3 kunai flew through the front window near the door and stuck in the opposite wall. Zabuza and Haku had enough time to grab his massive sword Kubukuru Bocho, or the decapitating carving knife, and race out the door as the tree house exploded. Landing away from the debris of their hideout, Zabuza and Haku looked back at the devastation. Show yourselves, you bastards. I thought you said you wanted to get their attention with subtlety? Arisher groused while stepping out from the shadows of the surrounding forest. That was as subtle as a 6-foot sword being tossed at your head, Kakashi replied back. Touché. You just saved me the trouble of coming to find you, Kakashi, Zabuza said, taking a better grip on his sword. Don't make me call your bluff, Zabuza. I didn't come here to fight, I came to offer a proposition. What would you say to getting paid double what Gato offered to leave the bridge builder and his family alone? You think you can just buy me to walk away? Not a chance. Think about it, Zabuza-san. You were at 100% last time we fought. Now you can't perform jutsu, and with that injury to your sword shoulder your kenjutsu will be less than effective, Arisher cut in. Gato has the money, which we are going to get once you tell us where his main base is as well as what kind of protections he has, Kakashi said plainly. Are you really ready to say you killed yourself for Gato and also throw Haku's life away for him too? Zabuza thought about his options. Fight a battle I have no way of winning with my injuries, or roll over on Gato. To hell with it, I never liked that pig anyway. Heaving a sigh, his main base is on the north edge of the island. He has about 150 mercenaries around the clock. Gato's philosophy is quantity, not quality. Gato himself is not hard to spot. He looks like a goblin in a three-piece suit and sunglasses. Bring the money to the place we had our first fight in the morning. You have a deal, Zabuza. It was nice seeing you again, Haku. Sorry about the explosive tag. Next time try knocking on the door, Haku replied with a grin. Later that night, after leaving Zabuza and Haku, the two made their way back to Tazuna's home and a meeting with Team 7 and their client. After the update on where things stood with Zabuza, Kakashi ordered everyone except himself and Arisher to stick close to the house for the remainder of the day. It was now about midnight and Kakashi and Arisher had been studying Gato's base most of the day, and it was confirmed as Gato preferring quantity over quality. Irregular and sloppy patrols seemed to be the norm. There seemed to be only 3 people who held any sway over the mercenaries: Gato and his 2 samurai bodyguards. Whenever they weren't around, the men just sat around trying to out-tough each other and drinking. So Kakashi-sensei, how do you want to do this? Arisher asked. I think a couple of well-placed explosive notes of genjutsu here and there and liberal use of the Sharingan will have the desired effect on these goons outside. You handle Gato. As we have seen, the only people allowed inside is his 2 bodyguards, so you shouldn't have any trouble. All the same, be careful. Wait for my signal and then make your way up to Gato, Kakashi said. Yes, Sensei, Arisher replied before he disappeared in the shadows. With Gato was currently sitting back in his expensive leather chair, behind his expensive wooden desk, smoking and drinking the finest cigar and sake money could buy. He built his reputation and empire around 2 human emotions, greed and fear. What one couldn't accomplish, the other could. In his office with him are his 2 bodyguards, Zora and Waraji. Zora was a young man in his mid-20s. He had bluish-white hair and black eyes with lions tattooed beneath them. His partner Waraji was a little older with brown hair and a short beard. He also had an eye patch over his right eye. Alright, you two, once we get word on when that fool Zabuza is going to strike, I want you two to go and grab the bridge builder's daughter for some extra insurance, just in case the baby demon can't do his part. Bring her to the BR. He was interrupted by an explosion in the courtyard that shook his balcony doors. What the hell was that? Turning to face the direction of the disturbance, he was greeted by a figure running across his balcony about to crash through the glass doors. Letting out a girlish shriek, he ducked beneath his desk with enough time to avoid most of the broken glass, but also with enough time to see his 2 bodyguards hit the ground with a knife each protruding from their eyes. That's not a very good hiding spot considering I saw you duck under there, a cold voice said above him. Gato scrambled from beneath the desk and had enough time to see ice blue eyes before a foot connected to his face and his world went black. Arisher woke Gato from his mini nap the fastest way possible. A hard slap to the face. What happened? Gato mumbled as he regained consciousness. Hello, Gato. You're probably wondering why you're tied face down on your desk with your pants around your ankles and your ass in the air? No, it's not because I want you to get used to the feeling of prison life. It's because I want your undivided attention. You see this piece of paper? Arisher asked, holding up a standard explosive note. This is what we shinobi call an explosive note. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? He asked. Getting a nod from Gato, he continued. Good. Now one of these things placed in a strategic spot could level a good-sized building. You currently have 2 shoved up your ass and they don't get more strategic than that. Ignoring Gato's begging and whimpering, Arisher approached the shipping magnate and knelt down until they were face to face. You only have one chance. I want the deeds and money you stole from the people of Wave. Okay. In the basement behind the floor-to-ceiling map of the elemental nations is the vault. There are 2 keypads on opposite sides of the safe. The one on the left, press 137-45-247, on the right 758-12-363. You have to input them at the same time, Gato said desperately. Thank you for your cooperation was all Arisher said before heading for the door. Wait. I told you what you wanted to know. Aren't you going to untie me? I don't recall making that offer, Arisher said coldly before leaving the room. In the hallway, ignoring Gato's screams, he channeled some chakra into the exploding tags currently in the possession of Gato. The resulting explosion sent pieces off Gato into the hallway behind Arisher and pieces through the balcony door leading outside. With that done, Arisher made his way towards the basement to complete his part of the mission. 2 weeks later, the news of not only Gato's men but Gato himself disappearing overnight spread like wildfire the next day. With Gato gone and the deeds to lost homes and fishing boats turning up, the land of Wave was on its way to prosperity again. Zabuza and Haku also left after we paid them double what Gato had promised them, but Zabuza refused to leave without a promise of a rematch sometime in the future. With the spare hands of the rest of Wave and a good deal of clones, the Bridge of Hope was completed ahead of schedule. Team 7 now stood on the Bridge of Hope along with Tazuna, Tsunami, Inari, and the rest of Wave to see them off. Well, this is it for us, Tazuna. Your bridge is built, and Gato's not a problem anymore. Even without Gato, you're going to have your hands full getting your country back on its feet. Yes, it's going to be a long haul, but thanks to you and your team, we're well on our way. Arisher approached Inari and Tsunami, who were standing slightly behind Tazuna. Smiling down at Inari and ruffling his hair a little, you know, you're not so bad once I got to know you. A big step to growing up is protecting those people precious to you, so keep an eye on your mom and grandpa. Sniff sniff, alright, I can do that. Ha ha ha, don't you remember what I said 2 weeks ago? It's alright to cry if you're happy, Arisher said, I smiling at the young boy before he approached Tsunami and wrapped the woman in a hug. He's going to be okay and I'll be back to visit as often as possible. Thank you, Arashi-kun, not just for helping my father and son but for helping me too. I hadn't realized how long I put my own life on hold before you showed me I was still a woman, not just a mother and a daughter, Tsunami said, blushing at some of the things they did together in the last 2 weeks. The pleasure was mutual, Tsunami-chan. Arisher, time to go, came the loud call of his pink teammate. I'll be seeing you, Tsunami-chan, that's a promise. Team 7 left Wave without a backwards glance, and once they were on the mainland they used ninja speed to make better time back to the village. Team 7 made it back to the village in half the time it took to get to Wave. Halt. What's your business here? A gate guard asked. Team 7 returning from C-rank mission, Kakashi stated. Proceed. With permission to enter, everyone went to the rooftops in order to get to the Hokage tower quicker and be released for some downtime. Upon reaching the Hokage tower, Kakashi turned to his team. I can handle the official report. You 3 are dismissed until further notice. Good, I need a drink. I'll see you later, Kakashi-sensei, Arisher said before walking off. Goodbye, Kakashi-sensei. I need a hot bath, Sakura said, too tired to even ask Sasuke for a date. I have some training to do, Sasuke uttered before heading off to the Uchiha district. With Arisher, Arisher barely made it past the front door of the Wet Leaf before he was tackled through the doors and back into the streets by a purple and tan blur. Arashi-kun, Anko said in a cooing voice, it's been almost a month since we've had some fun together, and I've been known to get a little mean when my favorite toys are taken away, Anko said, rubbing her face against Arashi's masked cheek. Anko, give me an hour to relax and have a drink, and we can have some time together. I really need a drink. Dealing with that Uchiha for a month straight is severely testing my resolve not to cut his throat and go missing, Arisher said. Ah, poor baby. Okay, you've earned your drink, then it's Anko time, she said, pulling him up and ushering him into the bar. The next morning, Naruto and Anko were awakened by a tapping on Anko's window by a messenger hawk. Anko disentangled herself from Naruto's arms. Yes, she knows. He really is a cuddler. Going to the window and retrieving the message from the bird, Anko scanned it halfway before going to Naruto and giving him the message. It's from Kakashi. He says you have a team meeting in an hour, she told him. Naruto read through the message himself, then used a small fire jutsu to destroy it. An hour to Kakashi means 4 hours in real time. I'm going to get some more sleep, he said, turning over and putting action to his words. I have a meeting, so I'm going to shower and get going. I'll see you later, she said, heading towards the bathroom. Naruto was now making his way towards training ground 7 across the rooftops of Konoha when he came across a strange scene below him. His teammate Sakura looked like she was trying to defuse a confrontation with some ninja he had never seen before. One was a guy in a black full-body jumpsuit holding a squirming kid in his hand, and a blonde girl with 4 pigtails and a battle fan on her back. Better back her up before she gets herself hurt. Look, why don't you just drop the kid? Assaulting someone in a foreign village is a good way to start a whole lot of trouble over nothing, Sakura said, trying to defuse the situation with this sand shinobi. Shut up, Pinky. This brat ran into me and an apology just won't cut it. You better put me down or my NISN is going to kick your ass, the squirming boy said. Oh, is that right? The sand shinobi asked mockingly. Kankuro? Wait a second, Temari, I'm almost done here. The now named Kankuro dismissed his teammate's call. Kankuro. His teammate Temari said a little more insistently. Not now, Temari. Kankuro. Kankuro turned towards Temari. What? And froze. Standing next to his sister was a ninja about 6 feet tall with blonde cornrows. He had a face mask that started from his nose to his neck and disappeared further down beneath a mesh shirt and an open black and white camouflaged flak jacket. What froze him in place was the fact that this guy had snuck up on him and had his arm across Temari's shoulders, but what had his blood freezing was the fact that the hand connected to that same arm was holding a kunai to his sister's throat. Arisher / Ni-san, came the surprised shout from Sakura and Konohamaru. How about a trade? You put my brother down nice and gently, and I won't open this pretty girl's throat like a fountain, Arisher said casually as if talking about the weather. Temari shivered at the casual way this person said he would kill her. Alright, just calm down, Kankuro said, lowering the kid to the ground. I'm perfectly calm. Now get away from him, he said, taking his arm away from the girl and going over to Konohamaru. You okay, Kon? I'm fine, Nai-san. Good, you and your friends get back to class. We'll talk about why you felt the need to ditch later. Konohamaru and his 2 friends Moegi and Udan took off towards the academy while Arisher turned back to face the sand ninja. I would advise you to go to your hotel room and calm down from your journey. I can guarantee another attempt to assault the Hokage's grandson will not go unpunished. Kankuro paled behind his makeup at what he had almost done. Sasuke, if you and your friend would join us down here, we could all be on our way, Arisher said, looking into a nearby tree. Sasuke knew he had been spotted by his teammate long before he had even spoken to him. What surprised him was the reference to a friend. What the hell is he talking about? Looking around, he almost fell out of the tree when he came face to face with an upside-down redhead looking him right in the face. Damn it, that's the second time that's happened, Sasuke thought to himself before jumping out of the tree, followed by the redhead who appeared in front of his teammates in a sand shunshin. Kankuro, you're an embarrassment to our village for pulling such a stunt, the redhead said in a monotone voice. I'm sorry, Gaara, I was just. Shut up or I'll kill you. I'm sorry for his behavior, it won't happen again. Come on, wait a second, you with the gourd. Who are you and what are you doing in our village? Sasuke asked, or more like demanded. I am Gaara of the desert, here for the Chunin exams. What is your name? The now-named Gaara said everything in the same monotone voice, never raising or lowering it. I'm Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke replied like he just declared himself Kami. I wasn't talking to you, Peacock. You the blonde guy, what's your name? Arisher, and I will definitely see you in the exams, Gaara-san, Arisher said. I look forward to it, Gaara said before turning and walking away. Since you two aren't at the training grounds, I suppose Kakashi was on time for once, and I missed the meeting. What was it about? He's recommending us for the Chunin exams. We just have to sign these slips and turn them in at the academy tomorrow? Sakura said, handing Arisher a form. Haha, Chunin exams. Well, things just keep getting exciting around here, Arisher remarked to himself. After Arisher received his application for the Chunin exams, he decided to walk around the village for a while until his weekly dinner at the Saratobis compound. It was something he had been doing since his return to the village. He was walking aimlessly through the village when a whimpering sound brought him out of his thoughts. Stopping in his tracks and looking around, he realized that he had wandered into some unknown training grounds, and the whimpers were coming from a forested area behind a bunch of marked-up trees, probably used as targets for weapons throwing. Following the sound, he came upon a mostly all-black puppy with a strip of white around its neck that looked like a collar. The puppy, upon seeing him, bared its fangs and got a feral look in its now noticeable all-white eyes. It tried to stand up to defend itself from a possible enemy, but let out a yelp and collapsed back to the ground. Shush, easy fella, I'm not going to hurt you, just relax, Arisher said in a soothing voice. Getting closer to the pup, Arisher saw why he couldn't stand up, as he saw a shuriken stuck in the right hind leg of the animal. Alright fella, looks like you got a little trouble there, Arisher said, still keeping to a calm tone. Arisher inched closer so as not to startle the animal, and went down on a knee beside it. Moving his hand slowly towards the shuriken, Arisher was about to take a hold of it and pull it out when the little animal snapped his jaws at his fingers. Arisher pulled his hand back quickly and counted them to make sure he still had all his digits. Arisher looked into the white eyes of the black dog with a small glare. Look, nobody likes pain unless you're some kind of masochist, but I have to remove this and bandage it, or you're not going to heal properly. Now let's try this again. I'm going to count to 3 and then I'm going to pull it out, so think of a happy place and grate your teeth, cause it's going to happen. Looking into the dog's eyes and receiving what he could only interpret as a nod of agreement, Arisher started the countdown. 123. On 3, quick as a snake strike, Arisher yanked the shuriken out, getting a small yelp from the pup. Staunching the blood with some gauze from his vest pocket, Arisher applied a quick field dressing to the wound. This will do for now. Best get you to a real doctor though. Saying that, he picked the dog up and disappeared in a swirl of leaves to the local vet's office. Arisher reappeared outside of a medium-sized white building with a wooden shingle hanging over the door that said Konoha's Veterinarian Services. It was located more in the civilian side of the village for their convenience, since civilians rarely had a reason to wander in the shinobi section. Walking into the building with the little dog cradled in his arms, Arisher made his way to the empty front desk of the office. Not seeing anyone around, he rang the little bell on the desk for service. Hello? Got a patient for you. Is there a doctor in the house? Still not getting a response, Arisher walked over to a door with a sign that said employees only that lead further into the building. Opening the door, he was met by the sound of barking and chirping so loud he was surprised he hadn't ruptured his eardrums. Wincing at the noise, he quickly shut the door. They must have some kind of sound barrier set up. You must feel worse than I do with your hearing, Arisher said, looking down at the dog in his arms. Arf. 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 Alright, no need for that type of language. Brace yourself, we're going back in. Arisher went back to the door and took a moment to brace himself for the noise before he opened the door and went in. He made his way down the lit-up corridor, peeking into each room as he went. Most were examination rooms and a couple of supply closets. He was near the end of the hall when he looked into one room and stopped dead in his tracks at an amazing sight. It was one of the most perfectly heart-shaped asses he had ever laid eyes on. All he could see, all he was really looking at, was that perfect ass in tight gray biker shorts. The other half of this person was inside a dog cage, apparently cleaning it out. Arisher was taking in every detail when a bite on the arm from the dog he was carrying brought him out of his dream world. Ahem. Excuse, I need some help here, he said. The person in the cage jumped at the sound of him clearing his throat, and quickly backed out of the cage, stood up, and turned around. Arisher was once again stunned, speechless for a moment. This woman was obviously an Inuzuka by the telltale red fang marks on her cheeks. Long brown hair held up in a ponytail with 2 bangs hanging down the front. Round dark eyes set in the soft features of her face was remarkably beautiful. She was also wearing a black wife beater that did nothing to hide her generous C-cup. Shiro-kun! The lady exclaimed, darting forward and taking the puppy from Arashi's arms. Oh, Shiro-kun, where have you been, you poor little baby? Arisher was completely ignored as the Inuzuka women took the pup, apparently named Shiro, into one of the exam rooms down the hall. Not knowing what else to do, Arisher followed them to the room with enough time to catch the women consoling the injured animal. Does somebody have an owie? Don't worry, Hana's going to fix that right up for you, the now-named Hana was saying as she unwrapped the field dressing and took a good look at the wound. So is Shiro going to be okay? Arisher asked. He's going to be fine. What happened? Hana asked the stranger. I was just walking around when I heard him whimpering. I found him in the woods behind some training grounds with a shuriken stuck in him. I dressed the wound and brought him here, Arisher explained. So his name is Shiro, huh? It's actually Shiramura. He's a member of the Inuzuka clan, and I believe we're in your debt for finding him. If left too long, this wound might have been infected. Who may I tell my clan head we are indebted to? Arisher approached the examination table where Hana was putting the finishing touches on a new bandage for Shiramura. My name is Arisher, and from what I have gleaned from you, you are Hana Inuzuka. It's a pleasure to meet you. Hana finished her bandage on Shiro and then took a good look at her guest. He was about 6 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, and indeterminate age because of the face mask. He stood tall and proud without a hint of arrogance in his posture. Hana felt a tingle go up her spine as a single word went through her mind as she looked at this man, Arisher Alpha. It's nice to meet you as well, Arisher. Thank you again for finding and helping Shiro-kun. He's the most curious pup at the compound, always wandering off somewhere, Hana said, rubbing the black ears of the now sleeping animal. I think as long as he stays clear of the training grounds he should do okay. I have to be going, Hana. I hope to see you around sometime. We can talk about working off that debt, Arisher said, smiling as he left the room. Hana felt the tingle along her spine even more at the hidden meaning in those words, anytime, Arisher, anytime. Later, Saratobis compound. Dinner at the Saratobis compound is always a small family affair when Hiruzen's schedule allowed it. At the small circular table right now were Arisher, Asuma, Konoha Maru, and Hiruzen. They were talking about a bunch of non-important things at the moment. The serious talk was reserved for after dinner when Konoha Maru was out of the room. They were finishing up the meal when the subject of Arashi's first dinner at the Saratobis compound came up. Flashback about 6 months ago. It was a couple of days after Arisher had returned to the village when he was invited to the Saratobis compound for dinner. He was walking next to the Hokage the long way towards the compound. Saratobis always liked to take a walk through the village after a long day. It helped to relieve the stress of wearing the hat, and reminding him of why he took it in the first place. As they approached the front door, Saratobis paused to give his dinner guest a word of caution. I have to warn you, my grandson Konoha Maru can be a little hyper at times. Try to be a little patient with him if it gets to be too much, Saratobis said before opening the door. Arisher followed right behind him and took a good look at the inside of the home. The front door opened into a hallway. About 15 feet from the door was an archway that led into a sitting area, and Arisher could see a set of stairs further along the hallway leading up. Saratobis paused in the archway to announce his presence. Konoha Maru, I'm home. As soon as the words were out of his mouth, smoke bombs filled the sitting area. Jumping in front of the Hokage, Arisher prepared to defend him from the surprise attack. Arisher focused his senses on the would-be attacker or attackers. Hearing a whistle through the air, Arisher shot his hand out and grabbed the airborne weapons. Feeling something off with them, he took a quick glance and was puzzled by the weapon's wooden shurikens. What the hell? He focused back on his attacker when he heard a very childish voice shout, I got you this time, old man. Arisher focused on where the voice came from and saw a hazy figure and the still lingering smoke. Leave Hurricane. When the figure, who could only be the Hokage's grandson Konoha Maru, jumped in the air to perform the attack, Arisher darted into the smoke. As Arisher went into the smoke, the Hokage performed a small wind jutsu to clear the room. When it was clear enough to see, he saw his grandson hanging upside down from his ankle by Arisher, who was scratching his head with the wooden shuriken he confiscated from Konoha Maru. So, I take it this is Konoha Maru. Nice to meet you. I'm Arisher, Arisher said, smiling at the upside-down child. Konoha Maru's sweat dropped at the nonchalant greeting. Put me down, you idiot, don't you know who I am? Konoha Maru screamed. Oof. Was the sound Konoha Maru made as he was dropped on his head. Yeah, I know who you are, and as a member of the Saratobis clan you should have better manners than to scream at a guest in your home, Arisher pointed out mildly. Hiruzen decided to step in before Konoha Maru completely blew his top. Konoha Maru, go and wash up for dinner. Arisher will be our guest tonight. Konohammer blinked dumbly at his grandpa before switching back to the masked shinobi while still rubbing his head. Alright, Gramps, he said before getting to his feet and leaving the room. Hyper isn't the right word to describe him. I would say he's more lively than hyper, Arisher said. Aren't they the same thing? Hiruzen asked curiously. Arisher shook his head. No one sounds like an affliction, and the other sounds like a compliment. Hiruzen decided to keep quiet on the subject and lead the young man into the dining area beyond the sitting room. It was a simple family setting, a small round table with 4 chairs around it. Dinner was also very simple: grilled beef, rice, veggies, and soup. Konoha Maru came into the room and everyone took their seats and tucked into the meal. It was quiet for a few minutes before the Hokage broke the silence. So Konoha Maru, how was your training today? Boring. All Sensei did was talk the whole time. Not once did he show us any cool jutsu. Even Ebisu Sensei refused to show me any cool jutsu. He said I had to master the basics first, Konoha Maru said in a dejected tone. He's right, you know, without the basics you have nothing to build on. All the greatest ninja you could name were masters of basic jutsus, and using their knowledge of the basics and built on them to make the best use of them, Arisher interjected. What would you know, Blondie? Konoha said as he glared across the table at the masked guest. I was trained by 4 men who could actually call themselves true masters of the shinobi arts, and they drilled into me daily that to be great is to master the basics. Arisher explained. For example, if someone gave you a sword tomorrow, do you think just having that sword makes you a master swordsman? He asked. Before Konoha Maru could answer, Arisher asked him another question. What's your dream, Konoha Maru? What's your goal as a ninja? My goal is to defeat the old man and become Hokage. Ebisu Sensei says with his training I'll take the shortcut to becoming Hokage. Konohamaru exclaimed with fire in his eyes. Arisher looked across the table at the young boy with calm eyes. First, I think this Zabuza guy should be tarred and feathered and hung up naked by his ankles in the middle of the village for telling you something so stupid as to think there is some kind of shortcut to the respect and power a Hokage wields. Arisher said calmly, there is no such thing as a shortcut to power. No amount of cool jutsu will make you Hokage material. It takes a certain mental and spiritual fortitude to be a Hokage. Can you imagine day after day, month after month, year after year the kind of conviction it takes to send people you've grown up with and people you've seen grow from babies to young men and women and send them out to defend the village knowing there's a possibility you will never see them again? Konohamaru was speechless as he listened to Arisher speak. He couldn't imagine sending Udan and Moigi out on some mission and then finding out that they had been killed. He could never forgive himself if that happened. Is that true, Gramps? Yes, it is. Being Hokage is more than being recognized as the strongest in the village. Being Hokage is asking yourself, are you mentally strong enough to do what is best for the village, the Hokage said. Konohamaru sat there in silence for a few minutes. Can I be excused? Receiving a nod from his grandpa, he went to his bedroom to think about if he really wanted to be Hokage after all. Sorry about that, Gigi. I didn't mean to hit him with the reality of wearing the hat like that, Arisher said. That's okay, Naruto-kun. I was going to explain it to him eventually. Maybe I was just scared of this type of reaction and my grandson hating me for taking away his dream, Hiruzen said sadly. That speech sounded like the one Tobirama-sensei gave me at one point when he was grooming me as Hokage. Yeah, that's where I got it from. I got a tad bit overconfident during my training sometimes. One time I claimed that as soon as I was done training I would come back here and challenge you for the Hokage title. Tobirama-sensei sat me down and explained in great detail the responsibilities that come with the job, Arisher said ruefully. Is your dream still to be Hokage? Hiruzen asked curiously. No, I haven't decided on a dream yet. I'll just follow the road of life and see where it takes me, he said, smiling. Do you mind if I go up and speak to Konohamaru? He asked. Hiruzen shook his head. No, upstairs, second door on the right. Rising from his chair, Arisher made his to the kid's room. Looking through the open door, he saw Konohamaru sitting on the edge of his bed looking miserable. Knocking on the door frame to get his attention, he waited for the kid to look at him. Hey Konohamaru, you mind if I come in? Sure, he said, scooting over to make room for the blonde. Why do you want to become Hokage? Arisher asked. My name is Konohamaru. I was named after the village, but no one calls me Konohamaru. People always call me Honorable Grandson. I'm not ashamed to be the grandson of the Hokage, but I just wish people would call me by my name for a change. If I was Hokage, then people would see more than the Honorable Grandson of the third Hokage. After what you said earlier, it seems like a pretty selfish reason to be Hokage. Wanting people to know your name is not selfish at all. But there are other ways to do it besides being Hokage. Konohamaru looked at Arisher with a confused expression. What other ways? How about becoming a Sannin? They're just like Kages but better. How can they be better than a Kage? You're just trying to mess with me, Konohamaru said, glaring at the blonde. No, I'm not. Think about it. The Sannin are said to be just as strong as Kages throughout the elemental nations. They're free to come and go from the village whenever they want, which means they have opportunities to always learn something new. Can you imagine the stories the Toad Sage or the Slug Princess could tell you about their travels? Now the Hokage, he's always stuck in boring meetings with the council or stuck doing boring paperwork. He barely has time to train and don't even think about getting laid, let alone dating someone. Where would you find the time? Arisher paused there because of the puzzled look on Konohamaru's face. Why do you mean getting laid? Getting laid where? Ahem, ask your grandfather after I leave. I heard from an older shinobi who was around when the Hokage first took office. He said after a week he was completely gray from doing all the paperwork involved with being Hokage. Konohamaru looked scared out of his wits at the thought of going gray. The point is there are other ways to be recognized besides being Hokage. You're right, Arashi-san. Konohamaru Saratobis will be the first ever monkey sage of Konoha. Konohamaru yelled with a renewed fire in his eyes. Good for you, Khan. I look forward to facing you one day, Arisher said, smiling. You can count on it. Don't think I forgot how you defeated me earlier. From now on we're rivals. Unknown to both Konohamaru and Arisher, Hiruzen had listened in on their talk, and though he perked up when Konohamaru declared he would be the first monkey sage, he still walked away with a storm cloud over his head after hearing Arashi's accurate description of his everyday life. I wasn't gray in a week. I was gray in 3 days. It took me a week just to finish the first round of paperwork, Hiruzen thought as he went back to the dinner table. Flashback end. After dinner, Konohamaru went to his room to study before bed while the other three went out to the back porch for self-indulgence, a cigarette and pipe for the Saratobis and sake for Naruto. They were all content with the silence as each man indulged his own guilty pleasure, but they all knew that starting tomorrow was the beginning of something they had been preparing for 6 months, the invasion. Naruto, there is another reason I invited you to dinner tonight besides the fact that I like your company. Before the start of the third round of the Chunin exams, I want to announce your return to the village as well as your lineage. What do you think about that? Hiruzen said, looking at the young shinobi calmly sipping his sake. Naruto was calm both on the inside and outside. It's fine with me. I was going to bring the subject up myself pretty soon. I already have plans in place if the council tries to give me a hard time, but what about you? Keeping a secret like this from the council for 6 months might get the hat taken away for good this time. I've been playing politics with these people for a long time. I'm not worried about that. I am however worried about their reaction towards you. Don't be Gigi. I was taught politics from the best and I can use the law like I can use a kunai, so don't worry yourself sick. I'd better be going. Long day tomorrow. Naruto drained the rest of his sake and bowing to both Asuma and Hiruzen left in a swirl of leaves. We both better get some rest, Pops. He's right, tomorrow is going to be a long day, Asuma said before finishing his cigarette and using a small fire jutsu to incinerate the butt before going inside. Hiruzen followed behind his son, thinking about what the future would hold for the village hidden in the leaves. The next day, Arisher was waiting at the front gates for his teammates to arrive. He had been there for almost a half hour waiting on them. He barely slept the night before because of the excitement of facing what he hoped to be strong opponents. Today he was wearing green tiger-striped camouflage pants with matte black shin guards and black shinobi sandals. He was also wearing a sleeveless mesh shirt with a plain black sleeveless t-shirt over top of it. His arms were wrapped from wrist to elbow in black athletic tape, leaving his biceps exposed. He had his fingerless black gloves with the storage seals on the palm, shuriken on the left, and kunais on the right. He was wearing a collarless flak jacket that matched his pants, and he was also wearing 2 hip pouches on the left and right side. He took out his cornrows and just put his hair in a simple ponytail with his headband still across his forehead. You're early. Arisher looked to his left and saw his teammate for the exams, Sasuke Uchiha, approach at a casual pace. Can't you feel the excitement, Sasuke? Better early than too late. Now all we need is Sakura and we can get to moving. Here she comes, Sasuke said, gesturing in the opposite direction he had come. Arisher turned to look and sure enough there was the pink-haired Kunoichi. Hey Sakura, you ready for this? Arisher asked as she approached. As ready as I'll ever be, Arashi-san. Good morning, Sasuke-kun, Sakura replied. HN was the response reserved for fangirls. Since we're all here, let's do it, Arisher said, walking through the gate with his teammates, following behind him. Team 7 made their way in silence until they came up on a scene in the middle of the hallway. The door leading to the exam room was barred by 2 guys. One had spiky hair and 3 bandages on his lower face, and the other had brown hair and a blue bandana-style headband on. They were knocking around a guy in green spandex with a bowl cut and a girl in a pink Chinese shirt with her hair styled in 2 buns. Just let us through. We have to take the exam, the girl said. You think you're ready to be chunin? Come back when you grow up, people die in these things, the one in the blue bandana said. Why don't you drop the genjutsu and stop cluttering the hall? We have an exam to take, Sasuke said. Arisher refused to face fault at the stupid arrogance of the Uchiha. If he knew, why did he open his mouth? You saw through that genjutsu, didn't you, Sakura? Sasuke asked the pinkette. Of course I did, Sasuke-kun. It was obvious, Sakura said. Arisher barely restrained himself from face-faulting at that obvious lie. Why don't you make me move, punk? The one with the spiky hair said before launching a kick at Sasuke, who threw a kick himself. Before either one could connect, the boy in the green spandex appeared in between them and caught both attacks. He's fast and strong. Arisher thought. Why don't you both save it for the exams? That is where the best will be determined. The bowl-cut guy said. Sasuke and the spiky-haired Stramber broke apart and regrouped before the spiky-hair guy and his friend took off down the hall out of sight. Way to go, Lee. It was your idea to hide our strength, remember? The person who spoke was obviously of the Hyuga clan with the trademark white eyes. He was wearing a black headband with 2 straps hanging from the sides and a khaki shirt and brown pants with his right arm and leg wrapped in athletic tape. I'm sorry, Niji, Tenten. I forgot my own plan just that quickly, the now named Lee said by way of apology. Forget about it, Lee, the girl, Tenten said. That plan wouldn't have lasted long anyway, Niji said, coming to stand next to his teammates and taking a good look at the other genin team. His eyes wandered over both Sasuke and Sakura before dismissing them both before his eyes rested on the blonde shinobi. What's your name? Niji demanded. Arisher completely ignored the pale-eyed teenager and approached his lovely teammate. My name is Arisher, may I have the honor of knowing yours? He said. Tenten was stunned. Boys didn't flirt with her. They treated her like one of the guys. Most of the time they didn't even realize she was a girl. Higurashi, Tenten Higurashi. Nice to meet you, she said, sticking her hand to shake. Arisher grabbed her hand and brought it to his masked lips and kissed the back of it. Tenten's blush could put a red apple to shame. That is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on a kunoichi, he said softly. What are you talking about? Tenten stammered. The calluses on your hands, they're beautiful. They show your dedication to training. It's the most beautiful and sexiest thing ever on a kunoichi. During Arisher and Tenten's introduction, Niji stood there stunned, first at being ignored and then as his teammate was turned into putty. Hey! I asked your name? No, you demanded my name. It's Arisher, by the way. Being from a noble clan, I could only assume they tried to teach you manners and the lessons just didn't take, Arisher said mildly. Know your place, commoner. Before Niji could register that Arisher had moved, he was staring eye to eye with a fly. Holding the fly by the wings with his fingertips was Arisher. Just remember, Hyuga, nobility doesn't mean a damn thing on the battlefield. Only skill, Arisher said before letting the fly go. Tenten, it was a pleasure to meet you. I hope to get to know you in the future, Arisher said before making his way back to his teammates and continuing down the hall towards the 3rd floor. They were in an open area about to climb the stairs to the 3rd floor when they were stopped. Hold it right there. The green-clad genin said, you are Sasuke Uchiha, right? I wish to fight you, for the love of Sakura Haruno. They announced loudly. Sasuke smirked at the weird bowl cut wearing genin. Sure, I could use a warm-up. We don't have time for this, Sasuke, Arisher warned. Don't worry, this won't take long, he assured his team. Fine, but don't take him lightly, it could end in embarrassment, Arisher warned. Doubtful, Sasuke said as he faced off with the strange genin known as Rock Lee. Even though you know who I am, you still don't want to fight. That takes a lot of guts. We will see if you are still as confident when I beat you. A fair warning, out of all the Leaf genin participating in the exams today, I am the strongest, and I'll prove it to you right now, Lee declared. The two opponents squared off against each other. Sasuke was in a casual stance, apparently not taking the match seriously, and Lee was in the opening stance of the strong fist style. He was turned sideways with his left arm behind his back and his right hand held out in a bring it on gesture, and Sasuke decided to bring it. He sprinted forward in an effort to catch his opponent off guard, and once he was in range he threw a right cross and connected with nothing as his opponent had disappeared in a display of speed. He reappeared above Sasuke already in mid-turn Leaf Hurricane. Sasuke ducked under the roundhouse kick and following his opponent's movements held his hands in front of his face in a guard position. Rock Lee continued his rotation from the missed roundhouse and attacked with another kick from a crouching position that went straight through Sasuke's guard and nailed him in the face. Sasuke! Was Sakura's shout of surprise from watching Sasuke take the hit. Sasuke was thrown backwards by the power of the kick and laid on the ground stunned for a few moments. What was that? I know I held my guard up, Sasuke thought. If I had my Sharingan I would take this guy apart. Sasuke went back on the attack, throwing everything he could at his opponent. Jab, jab, right hook, sweep kick. Sasuke thought, but nothing worked. It was either blocked or avoided. Sasuke threw another right cross with everything he had in it, but it was caught, and countered with an elbow to the stomach that sent him crashing into the wall behind him. Sasuke Uchiha, why do you not use your Sharingan? If you wish to beat me, that is the only way to do so. I don't need the Sharingan to beat you. Sasuke snarled and charged once again. I believe there are two types of ninja in this world, those that are born with talent like you and those that have to train hard every day of their lives like me. I'll show you hard work beats natural talent any day of the week, Lee proclaimed before stopping Sasuke's charge with a spinning back kick to the chin that launched Sasuke into the air. Lee crouched on the ground and then vanished in a blur and reappeared beneath Sasuke's still floating body, dancing Leaf shadow. Now you're finished, Lee said as the bandages around his arm began to unravel. Before they unraveled too much, a pinwheel pinned the end of the loose wrappings into the wall, surprising all those in the room. That's enough, Lee, a large red tortoise said. Oh no, this is bad, Lee said, throwing his body into a backflip to land on the ground in a crouching position before sprinting to kneel in front of the talking animal. Sasuke, too stunned by the events that just transpired, was saved from further injury when Sakura broke his fall. Arisher joined his two teammates as he watched the animal tear into the green glad genin. What were you thinking, Lee? You're forbidden from using that technique, especially on a fellow Leaf shinobi. You know that. I wasn't going to use it. I just got caught up in the fight, that's all, honestly said, trying to defend himself. Silence. You think a lame excuse like that is going to fly? A shinobi never reveals his techniques unless absolutely necessary, and from watching this fight, it was completely uncalled for. That's such a basic rule, it should be tattooed on your brain. Now stand and prepare to take the punishment for your actions. Yes, sir, Lee said, resigned to his fate. Come on out, Guy-sensei. In a puff of smoke, a man appeared on the turtle's back. He was very tall and he was wearing a matching outfit to Lee's except no hand wraps, and he was wearing an unzipped Jonin flak jacket. He even matched Lee's bull haircut and had way thicker eyebrows. Hey there, guys and gals, what's shaking? Guy-sensei said, standing proud with his hands on his hips and beaming a pearly white smile to all those in the room. He didn't get an answer as Team 7 was busy, sweat dropping at the appearance of the original that Lee was cloned after. The silence didn't last long as Guy-sensei scolded his wayward student. I'm very disappointed in you, Lee. Are you ready for your punishment? Yes, Guy-sensei. Okay, you little idiot, Guy yelled as he punched Lee in the face and sent him skidding along the floor. When he stopped moving, Guy approached his downed student and looked at him with a river flowing from each eye. Lee looked at his sensei with the same expression on his face. Sensei, I'm so sorry. It's okay, Lee. I forgive you. Your youthful exploits are all a part of growing up. Embrace yourselves, people, here it comes. Guy-sensei, Lee, Guy-sensei, Lee, Guy-sensei, Lee. Something bad is about to happen, turn away quick, Arisher said, but it was too late for his teammates. They were forced to witness the most exuberant man hug known to the world, complete with a sunset and crashing waves as a backdrop. Now, Lee, give me 100 laps around the practice field as further punishment for disobeying orders. Yes, sir, Guy-sensei. Wait, what about the Chunin exams? There's no time for laps right now, Sakura said. Oh, I forgot about that. Make that 500 laps for also disrupting the Chunin exams, Guy said. Yes, Guy-sensei. Ah, Lee, I'm proud to be your sensei. Your flames of youth are inspiring, Guy said to his student with pride before finally taking notice of the other three people in the room. That has to be Kakashi's squad, Guy thought to himself. Hey, how's my old rival Kakashi doing? You know Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked. Sure do. We're eternal rivals, have been for years, Guy stated before simply disappearing. My record is 50 wins and 49 losses, which is one better than Kakashi, he finished saying from behind Team 7. The facts of the matter is I'm stronger than Kakashi, faster too. Well, that was all speed, he didn't even use chakra to help him, Arisher thought. He's definitely faster than Kakashi, Sasuke thought. Guy-sensei is the greatest shinobi in the world, no one can defeat him, Lee exclaimed after his sensei's great show of speed. Enough, Lee, you all better get going before it's too late. Good luck, Lee. Show the world your flames of youth, my precious student. Yes, Guy-sensei. I will. Well, Guy-sensei, it was nice meeting you. Lee, how about after these exams we have a friendly spar? I'm a student of hard work myself. I would like to know which one of us has worked the hardest. My name's Arisher, by the way, Arisher said to Rock Lee. I would be honored to battle a fellow student of hard work, Arashi-san. Good, then it's a deal. After the exams, Arisher said before making his way to the stairs and up to the third floor, followed by the rest of the team. I can't believe I lost to that freak. If I had the Sharingan, I would have wiped the floor with him, Sasuke growled out between clenched teeth. Not likely, Sasuke, Arisher said calmly. Who asked you? Didn't you see the scars on his hands when he took the wraps off? Some of those scars were fresh. I wouldn't be surprised if he was out training this very morning. He probably trains until he drops every day, and even with the Sharingan you would have trouble, Arisher explained. Whatever was the Uchiha's response. As they rounded the corner, they stopped in surprise to see Kakashi leaning against the wall next to the door leading to the exam room. Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here? Sakura asked. I'm here to wish you all good luck in the exams. I was also here to stop you if you showed up without the full team. I thought you said the exams were optional, Sakura said. They are optional as a team. I didn't want anyone pressured into participating before they were ready. But since you all showed up on your own, it doesn't matter anymore. Beyond this door is another step towards your future goals. Good luck, Kakashi said before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Well, let's go, this exam isn't going to take itself, Arisher said, kicking the door in and striding through. As soon as he entered, he was blasted with killing intent strong enough to make a fly faint. This was nothing compared to the killing intent he felt from people like Zabuza or his own senseis. He glanced out the side of his eyes to see how Sasuke and Sakura were doing. Sasuke was shrugging it off with no effort, but Sakura was already shaking in her sandals. Remember what I said back in Wave about killing intent, Sakura? Sakura looked into Arashi's calm blue eyes and remembered what he said back in Wave about using your own intent to offset someone else's. Taking a moment to calm herself, she was about to think of something that would piss her off enough to shake off this killing intent when the answer landed in her lap, or more precisely on Sasuke's back. Oh, Sasuke-kun, I've missed you so much. Being apart for so long has been dreadful, Ino Yamanaka, Sakura's old friend and new rival, said from Sasuke's back. The killing intent was completely forgotten as she saw this. Back off, Ino, pig, Sasuke's mine. Well, if it isn't Miss Forehead, they let anyone into these exams, apparently, Ino said in a haughty tone. They let pigs in here, don't they? What did you say, billboard brow? Ino demanded, glaring into Sakura's eyes. You heard me, Sakura said, glaring right back. Do you two have to be so loud and troublesome all the time? A lazy voice said, interrupting the screaming match. Mind your business, slacker. Ino snapped. It is my business. Your screaming match is bringing a lot of unwanted attention, the slacker pointed out. Ino and Sakura looked at the other participants in the room, and sure enough, all eyes were on them, and they didn't look too happy. Once Sakura stopped arguing with Ino, the killing intent came back seemingly stronger than before. Ino was also feeling the effects. Arisher, tired of the minuscule killing intent, approached the top of the stairs and looked out at the other participants. What the fuck are you looking at? Arisher screamed and unleashed a killing intent that flooded the entire room. While most of the aspiring Chunin were paralyzed, the truly weak ones collapsed under the weight of the killing intent. Arisher cut the flow of killing intent and went back to his team. When Arisher returned, he saw that 3 more people and a dog had joined the cluster of Chunin candidates. One was an Inuzuka male, a female Hyuga, and the last guy could have been anyone. The only thing that could be seen was spiky brown hair and sunglasses. Who the hell are you? That was unreal? The Inuzuka said. I'm Arisher, the new member of Team 7, and that was very real, he said calmly. What happened to the other guy? The slacker from before asked. Team 7 answered in one word, Tora. That was all that needed to be said. That was some display back there. You might want to tone it down though, a smooth voice said from behind Arisher. He turned around to come face to face with a silver-haired shinobi in glasses. What's it matter to you how I act? Arisher said something about this guy is raising the hair on the back of my neck. Just thought to pass on some advice to a fellow Leaf Genin. I've been in these exams before and they're not easy. I'm Kabuto Yakushi. How many times have you taken the exams, Kabuto-san? Sakura asked. This is my 7th time, Kabuto said, smiling sheepishly. That doesn't bode well for the rest of us, then, the still unnamed slacker said. It has given me a chance to gather information on certain villages, and every year I come closer to reaching Chunin. These are my info cards, Kabuto said, taking out a deck of cards from his hip pouch. With these I have info on just about every participant in the exams. How do they work? Sasuke asked, interested in trying to find a weakness on certain people. Well, it's simple really. The cards respond to my chakra. Once I channel chakra into them, all the information on the card becomes visible. And you have information on everyone participating in the exams? Sasuke asked. Everyone, Kabuto confirmed. How about Rock Lee of the Hidden Leaf, Gaara of the Desert, and Arisher of the Hidden Leaf? You already know their names. Too easy, Kabuto said before taking out 3 cards and laid them out on the floor in front of him. Let's see, first up, Rock Lee. He's a genin of the Hidden Leaf and a member of Team 9. His teammates are Tenten Higurashi and Niji Hyuga. They are students under Jonin Might Guy. He's been a genin for a year, and this is his first time in the Chunin exams. As a member of Team 9, he's completed 37 D-rank missions, 12 C-ranks, and 1 joint B-rank. According to his stats, he has exceptional taijutsu and very below average ninjutsu and genjutsu. After he finished reading off the info card, he placed it back in his deck. Now Gaara of the Desert, he's a genin of the Hidden Sand. Not a lot on him except that this is his first Chunin exam. He has completed 10 D-rank missions, 20 C-ranks, and 3 B-ranks. As a special note, it says he completed every mission without so much as a scratch, Kabuto said in an odd tone. Lastly is Arisher of the Hidden Leaf. Well, this is surprising. It says that Arisher only recently joined the Hidden Leaf 6 months ago, and in that time has done 30 solo D-rank missions before joining Team 7 on a C-rank turned B-rank mission. His teammates are Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. They are students under Kakashi Hatake. As a special note, it says that Arisher was a bounty hunter before joining the village. Kabuto paused there with a look of concentration as if trying to remember something. Wait, Arisher the bounty hunter? He asked, spinning around to face Arisher, who had been reading over his shoulder. I've heard of you. You're on the Land of Fire's watch list. I have a copy right here, he said, reaching into his hip pouch and feeling around for the book he was looking for. Hey Shikamaru, what's a watch list? He heard Ino ask the one she had called a slacker earlier. Well, you know how each village has a bingo book? He asked. After receiving a nod of understanding, he continued his explanation. Well, a watch list is the same thing, only it's available to everyone, not just shinobi like a bingo book is. Most of the people on a watch list are considered just as dangerous as trained shinobi. The only difference is they're not affiliated with a village, which is why they can't go into a bingo book or be labeled a missing ninja, Shikamaru said, and for once looking wide awake. I found it. Alright, here we are. Arisher, also known as the Perfect Storm because he has never failed to turn in a bounty. He has turned in 42 D-rank bounties, 54 C-ranks, 22 B-ranks, and 13 A-ranks. His skills remain unknown except for being extremely fast and proficient in taijutsu. Apparently no one has ever lived to say what kind of ninjutsu or genjutsu abilities he has. Kabuto just looked wide-eyed at Arisher, who returned the look with a disinterested look of his own. Who the hell is this guy? Was the thought on most of the rookies' minds once this information was revealed. All thoughts of Arisher were replaced by an explosion of smoke at the front of the classroom. Alright, you maggots, enough grab assing, a deep voice said from the smoke. When the smoke cleared, a tall imposing figure in a black trench coat was standing in front of a group of Konoha shinobi. He, like the rest of them, was wearing a gray outfit, and he had a blue bandana headband on. I'm Ibiki Marino, proctor for your first test. Line up, turn in your applications. Take a number and sit in your assigned seat. The test is about to begin. About damn time, was Arashi's thought as he made his way to the front to turn in his application. With the rookie senseis, they should be just about to begin the first portion of the exams. How do you think they will do? Kurenai asked. Before I found out who was the proctor for the exam, I would say they had a fair chance. Now I'm not so sure, Kakashi said, looking up from his favorite book. Why? Who's the examiner? She asked. Ibiki Marino. With a sadist like that, I charge their chances have dropped significantly. Who's Ibiki Marino? I forgot that you're only a recently promoted jonin, Kurenai, so you wouldn't know who Ibiki was just yet. Ibiki is the head of the torture and interrogation department, and one hell of a scary guy on top of that, Asuma said, for once enjoying a cigarette without being glared at by his own students. Why would the Hokage put someone like that in charge? Kurenai said, worried for her students. Relax, Kurenai, he won't touch them, he doesn't have to. Ibiki's style of interrogation is more mental than physical. I just hope these kids are mentally ready. Ibiki has been known to break people down into sobbing messes with only a few words, Kakashi said before going back to his book and ending the discussion. Back in the exam room, Arisher was now seated at the front of the room with the Hyuga girl, who introduced herself as Hinata through a bit of stuttering, seated on his right, and a genin from Sand on his left. After looking at the test, he knew even though the questions were hard, he could answer them without any problems, and after hearing how the point system was set up and the rules if caught cheating, he knew that the purpose of the test was information gathering. So he just tuned out the rest of the speech and thought back to some inconsistencies about that leaf genin Kabuto. There is something seriously off about that guy. There is no way he could gather that kind of information just by participating in other exams. Besides, he said this was Gaara's and Lee's first exam, so he shouldn't have any info on them. I know for a fact that mission reports and shinobi records are for Hokage and Jonin sensei eyes only. He could get away with knowing who is on Lee's team and his sensei, but he shouldn't know how many missions he has been a part of or what they were ranked. The most disturbing thing about him, though, is he smells of snakes. Not just any snakes, snake summons. There are only two people I'm aware of that should smell like snake summons, so either Anko or Orochimaru is getting up close and personal with this guy on a regular basis. I have to talk to the old man ASAP. Arisher was brought out of his thoughts by a black-gloved fist slamming down on the desk in front of him and a scarred face almost nose to nose with him. I'm sorry, did you say something? Arisher said. The entire room face planted at the casual response to Ibiki's scare tactic, except for one person. Rock Lee had a blazing inferno in his eyes when he heard that response. Guy sensei, is it possible to have more than one eternal rival? If it is, I have second rival in the hip and cool Arisher. Lee thought. I said, are you ready for the 10th question? Ibiki repeated himself. I don't see why not. Bring it on, Proctor-san, Arisher said calmly. Are you sure? Get this last question wrong and it could destroy your shinobi career. If I wasn't prepared to put my career or my life on the line, then I wouldn't be here. So give me your question. Ibiki stared into the blonde's eyes a moment longer, trying to get him to blink first before he straightened to his full height and returned to the center of the room. He scanned the room, trying to spot another target to maybe try and get these numbers down a little more. But looking out at the sea of faces, all he saw was determination. I see no one else will be leaving, so those of you remaining, you all pass, he said with a smirk at the end. The response he got was what he expected. What? What are you talking about? What happened to the 10th question? A voice in the back ear asked. Settle down and listen, I'll explain. The first portion of the exam was meant to test two things. One, as you may have already figured out, was your information gather skills. The questions were designed to be impossible to answer and basically force you to cheat. Your ability to gather information on your enemy could determine the success or failure of a mission. Seeing that he had everyone's full attention, Ibiki continued. A Chunin is a mid-level shinobi who is expected to lead his own squad into combat on his own. Question 10 was designed to see who amongst you actually had the guts to move forward towards a seemingly impossible goal. The ones who refused to take question 10 have showed they do not have what it takes to be Chunin. Not now, maybe not ever. Again, Congra. Before he could speak any further, the window to his right exploded in a shower of glass. The reason for the broken window turned out to be a cloth ball that was unfurled to reveal a banner that said Second Exam Proctor. The sexy Anko Mitarashi, the sexy purple-haired special Jonin herself, was standing in front of said banner with a wide, cheesy grin. Hello boys and girls, I'm Anko Mitarashi, proctor for the second portion of the Chunin exams. Are you ready? Good, follow me. Anko said, raising her fist in the air. You're early, Anko. Again, Ibiki said, stepping out from behind the banner. Ibiki, what's with all the teams? I think you're losing your touch, Anko said, smirking at her fellow interrogator. Maybe this is just a better crop of candidates this year. They don't look like much. It doesn't matter, cause by the time I'm through, over half will be eliminated, Anko said with a bloodthirsty smirk on her face. You cream puffs have had it easy up until now, but starting tomorrow you better be ready to kill or be killed. I'll tell your senseis where to meet me. I suggest you all do some heavy praying tonight because tomorrow you're going to need it. Dismissed. With that warning and dismissal, the Chunin hopefuls filed out of the room to prepare for day 2 of the exams. Back in the classroom, Ibiki was collecting the test papers when he came across something interesting. It was the test paper of the blonde kid in the mask. The interesting thing about it was that it was blank except for the name Arisher at the top. I can't believe I passed someone who didn't answer a single question. An interesting guy, this Arisher. He was about to place it in the pile with the others when he noticed a slight distortion. A genjutsu? Releasing a burst of chakra onto the sheet of paper, Ibiki's eyes narrowed as he read the message. Ibiki-san, I have a few concerns about the genin known as Kabuto Yakushi. Earlier he displayed some information no mere genin should have. He said he has taken the exam 7 times before and that was how he came to know what he does, but I don't buy it. He has the reserves of a jonin-level shinobi, and if my sensing is correct he has the control of a medic nin. How the hell he's still a genin is beyond me. Most disturbing of all is he smells strongly of snake summons. I would go to the Hokage myself about my suspicions, but as you know, anyone participating in the exams is forbidden from communicating with their Kage unless of an emergency, and having a suspicion doesn't count. Ask the Hokage what he wants me to do about him. Arisher. Like I said, an interesting guy, this Arisher, Ibiki said to himself before disappearing in a cloud of smoke to deliver the message to the Hokage. The next day. Well, I'm surprised all of you showed. Did you enjoy what might be your last night on Earth? Good. I welcome you all to Training Ground 44, or otherwise known as the Forest of Death, Anko said, smirking at the scared faces. That doesn't look so scary. Quit trying to look tough and let's get on with this. That ill-advised outburst came from none other than Kiba Inuzuka. As soon as he was done talking, a kunai sailed past his face, cutting his cheek just above his clan tattoo. Before he could even register what happened, there was a sickly sweet voice in his ear. You know, it's always the dogs who bark loud that have no bite. You better watch yourself in there, little Inuzuka. Anko, feeling a presence coming up behind her, released another kunai from her sleeve into her hand and was about to lash out when her previously thrown kunai appeared over her shoulder, being held by a tongue. Here is your kunai back, Proctor-san, the person said in a whispery voice. Why, thank you, Grassnin. But you know I wouldn't advise coming up behind me like that again unless you're suicidal, Anko said with a grin. My apologies, I meant no offense. I guess I'm just a little anxious to get started, the Grassnin said before moving away to rejoin her team. I guess everyone's a little excited this morning. Let's get back on track. Anko reached into her pocket and pulled out a stack of papers. Before I explain the rules of this portion of the exams, you all have to sign these waiver forms, or you cannot participate, she said, passing them around. Why do we have to sign these? Someone asked. So that Konoha and more importantly I cannot be held accountable for your deaths, and trust me, there will be deaths. Once Anko received all the waiver forms, she once again reached into her pocket and pulled out 2 scrolls. One had the kanji for heaven and the other earth. Each team will be given either a heaven or an earth scroll. Your objective is to reach the tower in the center of the Forest of Death, with both scrolls and all your team members. You have 5 days to complete your objective. 5 days? What are we supposed to do for food? I can't go 5 days without food, Choji cried. You can hunt, you can fish, hell, if you get desperate enough you can eat each other. I really don't give a damn. I will give you 2 pieces of advice though: don't open your scrolls until you have both of them in the tower, and beware, humans are not the top of the food chain inside Training Ground 44. Now line up, get your scrolls, and get to your gates. Enko ordered. A half hour later all the genins were at their assigned gates waiting for the word to begin. My last warning, don't die. And with that all the gates sprang open and the Chunin hopefuls sprinted forward in their ambition to achieve a higher rank. 15 minutes into the second exam, Team 7 stopped in a clearing to discuss strategy. Okay guys, how do you want to do this? Arisher asked the other 2 on the team. I say we head towards the center of the tower. Anyone who makes it that far will have already been in a fight, and will either be injured, tired, or both. Set some traps or find a nice ambush position, and it's over before it begins, Sasuke said, laying out his plan. That's a solid plan, Sasuke, I'm for it. There's no telling what the third part of the exams are, so it's best if we conserve our energy and strength, Arisher said. Sasuke-kun, that is an awesome plan. I can't believe you came up with that all by yourself so fast, Sakura said, beaming at Sasuke. Arisher just shook his head at her. If this girl doesn't straighten up, she's liable to get herself killed here. Sakura, hold on to this, Arisher said, handing him the heaven scroll he received earlier. Why give it to me? Sakura asked, surprised. Anyone we came across would expect either Sasuke or myself of having it. I'll be back in a second, nature calls, Arisher said, moving of into the trees in the shadows of the clearing. When he was sure he was alone, he unfolded a piece of paper that had been passed to him when he received the heaven scroll. After reading the short message, which consisted of 6 words, keep an eye on him, Saru, he used a small fire jutsu to destroy the paper. Arisher raised his fingers in a cross shape and seal and whispered his favorite jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. An identical Arisher materialized beside him. Turning to the clone, he gave his orders. Get back to the team and keep an eye on them. You have enough chakra to last for at least 3 days if you use it carefully, but first take care of our guest. I'm on it, boss, the Arisher clone said as he turned towards the ranged shinobi who dropped his genjutsu the moment he knew he had been discovered. I hope for your sake you have an earth scroll on you, the clone said. The rain ninja had a moment to regret his stupid decision to stay and spy on this particular ninja. He was there when he led of that killing intent yesterday, and he heard bits and pieces of his record as a bounty hunter. Knowing these things, he only had one thing to say: what the fuck was I thinking? The original Arisher took off in the direction of the gate he saw Kabuto's team lined up at as soon as he gave his clone the order. He was hoping there would still be a decent scent to follow by the time he got there. When he arrived at the starting gate of Kabuto's team, he lowered his face mask slightly and channeled chakra into his nose and took a deep sniff. He had to take a moment to separate the smells. He finally picked up the one he was searching for. Gotcha. Arisher followed Kabuto's scent at a sedate pace and kept his distance. Not knowing what type of skills Kabuto and his team possessed, he didn't want to get too close. Eventually Arisher got within sight of the mysterious team when they decided to take a break. Channeling chakra into his ears, he tried to eavesdrop as much as he could from the distance he was at. He was so far away, all he got were faint whispers. Orochimaru-sama, the Uchiha passed the test. Arisher couldn't risk getting any closer without getting caught, and he couldn't risk channeling more chakra into his ears without blowing out his eardrums. Arisher was about to settle down to wait for Kabuto's next move when he froze in surprise because his clone had been dispelled way before his time. He quickly sifted through the memories of the clone. Arisher clone aka AC. I hope for your sake you have an earth scroll on you, AC said. The response he got told him all he needed to know. What the fuck was I thinking? The rain ninja said before he felt something wet running down the front of his chest. Looking down, he was surprised to see the wetness was blood. He also realized he had trouble swallowing. Before he knew it, he dropped to his knees, and as his vision went dark, the last thing he would see was his own blood staining the forest floor. AC wiped of the blood of the kunai he used to cut the rain ninja's throat and resealed it back in his glove before walking out to rejoin his teams. Alright, let's go, he said. What took you so long? Sakura asked. Ran into some wildlife. Let's get moving, he said, and jumped into the trees. Sasuke and Sakura followed shortly after, and the three traveled along tree hopping for close to an hour when a massive gust of wind separated the three. While Sasuke and Sakura were blown onto the branch of a nearby tree, AC, having taken the brunt of the gust of wind, was knocked a good distance away and to the forest floor. AC stood up to get his bearings when he felt hot air being blowing against his back. Turning around, he came face to nostril with an enormous green snake. Taking exception to the snake's closeness, he reared back and punched it in the snout. Stop steaming up my tail. What are you trying to do, wrinkle it? AC demanded. The snake was momentarily stunned by the strength of the punch before it shook it off and lunged for his target. AC evaded the snake's quick lunges in a zigzag pattern going from tree to ground. He was knocked off balance when the snake shot his tail into the ground where he was about to land, and before he could regain his balance, he was swallowed whole. The snake let out a satisfying hiss before retreating into the forest. Before it could fully leave the clearing it just had its meal in, the snake paused with what can only be a confused expression before its head was separated from the rest of its body by a wind-enhanced kunai held by AC. That was disgusting as well as a waste of chakra. I'd better get back if those two are dead. The boss is not going to be happy, AC said, hopping back into the branches of the trees. He made his way towards the sounds of battle and arrived just in time to Sasuke get bitten in the neck and collapse screaming in pain. Shit. What the hell happened here? Memorizing Sasuke's and Sakura's position, AC went through several hand seals and called out his jutsu genjutsu, Infinite Darkness. The area was blanketed in pitch black. Under the cover of the jutsu, AC raced in and retrieved both of his teammates, and left the area as fast as possible while carrying both. Sakura, calm down, it's me. It's hard enough carrying Sasuke's dead weight, I don't need you making it any more difficult, he said, trying to get the struggling girl to be still. Arisher, thank Kami, you're alright. We were about to come look for you when this weird grass ninja popped up out of nowhere. She challenged Sasuke to a fight for the scrolls, but right from the start we were overpowered. It was like she was toying with Sasuke the entire, but at one point she got really excited about something. That's when I noticed Sasuke had red eyes. He awakened his Sharingan. It wasn't long after I noticed it that the grass nin bit Sasuke, and you arrived. By the time Sakura finished her story, she was running on her own alongside Arisher. Okay, let's find a place to rest and take care of Sasuke. He finally found a spot to rest that was easily defendable. He set Sasuke down in the hollow of a tree and turned his head to look at the wound the mysterious ninja had left. He barely held back a surprised gasp as he saw the curse seal on Sasuke's neck. That was Orochimaru. AC knew when he was in over his head. If Orochimaru came back, he wouldn't last long enough to do anybody any good. It was time to call in the original Sakura, he said, getting her attention. She had been sitting near Sasuke's feet with her arms wrapped around her knees, clutching them to her chest, staring into space. I want you to set up some perimeter traps while I scout the area. Stay near Sasuke. I'll be back when I'm through, AC said, leaving the hollow of the tree. Wait. You're just going to leave me here alone? She whispered the last part. You should have been told this a long time ago, Sakura. But when you accept the headband with the leaf insignia on it, you forfeited any rights to remaining a child. It's time to act like a shinobi and do your job. For now your job is setting perimeter traps and keeping watch over Sasuke, Arisher said with his blue eyes staring into her green ones. When Sakura lowered her head to stare at her knees, Arisher sighed and knelt in front of her. There is a kunoichi in you that is waiting to come out and show the world what she can do, but right now, that fangirl is in control. When this is over, I'm going to introduce you to someone that is going to take that fangirl, beat her to within an inch of her life, and introduce the kunoichi to the rest of her comrades who have been dying to meet her. You can start by digging deep inside yourself and finding those skills that the fangirl has hidden deep within you and protecting your teammate. Arisher stood up and once again made his way from the hollow of the tree. I have confidence in you, Sakura, don't let me down, he said before disappearing into the shadows. Once he was out of sight of Sakura, AC dispelled himself to give the original an update on what was happening. Back in the hollow of the tree, Sakura Haruno was preparing to do what she was ordered to. She was determined to put more effort into her ninja skills. She pulled off her hip pouch and dumped everything on the ground to see what she had to work with and couldn't help but sigh in disappointment. A normal hip pouch would have things like soldier pills, first aid kits, ninja wire, and exploding tags. What did Sakura's have? Makeup, perfume, and even small bottles of shampoo and conditioner. I'm so pathetic. Now I know why Arisher gave me the scroll. No one would suspect the weakest member of the team to hold the means of passing or failing the exam. Sakura didn't stay down for long. She went to the still unconscious Sasuke and took his hip pouch off him, and went through it. Finding the items that she could use to make traps, she walked out of the hollow with one more thought before she set to work. I won't fail you, Arashi-kun. Back with the original. I better get back there. I'll pick up Kabuto's trail later. With one last glance at Kabuto and his team, he took off in the direction of his down team. He had to travel most of the night, and stop every now and again to avoid confrontation with some other squads, particularly the sand squad with the red head on it. He watched from a position high up in the trees as he used his sand to crush a rain team into nothing. By the time he got to the clearing, he could hear the sounds of battle before a foul chakra seemed to fill the surrounding area. Arriving on the scene, he couldn't believe what he saw. Sakura was beaten and bloody, Rock Lee was sprawled out on the ground, and Team 10 was completely incapacitated. Sasuke was up and looking lively, with the exception of some weird tattoos and a demented smile on his face as he broke the arms of the sound genin with spiky black hair. Arisher used the Shunshin to appear behind him, and used the edge of his hand to chop him in the neck, rendering him unconscious again. Alright, enough of this shit. I've been awake all night, got swallowed by a snake yesterday, and I haven't been laid in 3 days. Cue the sweat drops from the still conscious guys and blushes from the still conscious girls. I'm a little on edge. I could snap and kill everybody in this clearing if I don't get some rest soon. So if you want to avoid that, give me your scroll and we'll call it even for attacking my team, he said, addressing the sound team member with the bandaged head. How do I know you'll let us go when you have the scroll? He asked. You don't, but I can just as easily take it from your corpse. Just as easily as you can set it on the ground and leave with your team, was Arashi's cold response. Not seeing any other options, the bandaged sound ninja pulled the scroll from the inside of his jacket and set it on the ground and backed away from it. Arisher picked up Sasuke and moved away from the other down male member of the sound team, whom he was standing behind the whole time during the negotiation, and walked forward at the same time as the leader of the sound team. Once they had swapped positions, Arisher walked to the tree where he had originally laid Sasuke and set him there once again. I don't mean to be rude, and while I appreciate your help, I think our team needs a moment alone, and you need to see to your own team needs, Arisher said with his back turned to those still in the clearing. He's right. It's only the second day and now Lee is only at half strength. We're going to have to waste another day for him to recover, Niji said, approaching Lee's slowly recovering form. Let's get going, guys, was Shikamaru's lazy drawl. Wait, at least let me fix Sakura's hair for her, Ino said as she approached a still somewhat disoriented Sakura. Leave it, it's as much a battle wound as the scars she received today, she can have it fixed later. Now is not the time for that, Arisher said, stopping Ino in her tracks. Arisher approached Sakura and picked her up bridal style and also carried her to the tree and sat her next to Sasuke. Even though he didn't show it, he knew when Team 10 and Team 9 left the clearing and then the area. After I treat your wounds, we'll rest for a while and then we're heading for the tower, alright? We have to get Sasuke checked out as soon as we can. Okay, Arashi-kun. Whatever you say, Sakura mumbled as she drifted off to sleep. Arisher raised his eyebrows at the kun suffix added to his name. Since I can't follow Kabuto without leaving my team behind, we might as well get the hell out of this forest and hopefully into some real beds. Besides, with Orochimaru targeting Sasuke, better safe than sorry. To say that Naruto was only a little pissed was to say that the fourth Hokage was a mediocre shinobi. He was furious at the moment, but kept a tight lid on it. He was pacing back and forth in his assigned room waiting for the deadline for the end of the second stage of the exams. He couldn't wrap his mind around what he just heard. Mini flashback. The scrolls they carried during the exams turned out to be summoning scrolls. Each scroll summoned a Chunin instructor that would either pass your team if you fulfilled all the requirements, or they failed you by knocking you out. Our scroll summoned a teacher from the academy, Iruka Umino. Arisher had met Iruka many times while doing errands around the village. After requesting medical attention for his teammates, Arisher walked around the tower in search of Kakashi to tell him about Sasuke's Hell Hiki. He could have found Kakashi any time he wanted to, but decided to take this time to get his thoughts in order. He arrived at the top of the tower to find Kakashi leaning against a wall next to a door at the far end of the hall. As he approached him, Kakashi glanced up and instead of the usual dismissive glance actually put his book away and met Arisher halfway. Arisher, I wasn't expecting you so soon, Kakashi said by way of greeting. But you were expecting me? Arisher questioned curiously. Yes, I was. I already know about Sasuke's new accessory. I'm about to go deal with that right now. The Hokage would like to speak with you though. He's in there. Kakashi gestured toward the doors he was standing next to when Arisher arrived. Good, I want to talk to him as well. Arisher was about to walk past him when Kakashi held up a hand to stall him. After you're finished with the Hokage, come find me again. There's something I've wanted to talk to you about for a while now. Sure, Sensei, Arisher said, and walked past him towards the doors at the end of the hall. Knocking on the doors, he pushed them inward when he heard the gruff enter, and saw the Hokage sitting behind a replica of his desk from the Hokage tower. Arisher, good, you're here. Shut the door and give me your report, the Hokage said. Arisher stepped fully into the room, closed the door behind him and stood in the middle of the room and gave his report. As per your orders, during the second stage, I was to keep an eye on one Kabuto Yakushi. Leaving my team with a shadow clone, I traced Kabuto and his team to a clearing in Training Ground 44. He is definitely working for Orochimaru, but in what capacity I don't know. Whatever he does, he is close enough for the smell of Orochimaru's summons to rub off on him. I tried to listen to the conversation he was having between him and his teammates, but I was too far away and without knowing their skills. I didn't want to risk getting too close and tipping them off that they were being watched. I caught snippets of the conversation. I know it involved Sasuke, Orochimaru, and some kind of test. Arisher paused before continuing. I wasn't able to follow them for long because my clone dispersed itself to relay some information. I know you're aware Orochimaru infiltrated the exams, and it looks like his purpose was to brand Sasuke with one of his curse marks. He has already used it once. That's when I decided to just get here and get him some treatment. After Arisher finished his report, he just stood there waiting for the Hokage response. Hiruzen took his time dissecting this information. Is there anything else you can tell me? Well, after putting together what little I found out, and what Sakura told me, it seems the test was a fight between Sasuke and Orochimaru disguised as a grass nin. It seems he wanted to test Sasuke's skills and also wanted Sasuke to activate his Sharingan, which he did because after he activated it, that's when Sakura said he bit Sasuke, branding him. Hiruzen took a deep breath and let it out before speaking. We received word from Anko yesterday, maybe an hour into the second stage, that she had discovered the slaughtered remains of the grass team minus their faces. After sending back word about her suspicions, she went into the forest to confront Orochimaru. Arisher stiffened when he heard that and became completely still. Son of a bitch. She better be alright or I'll go back to the Sound Village and burn it to the ground. Arisher raged in his mind. She's alright, but he did send a message with her. If we cancel the exams or pull Sasuke out of them, then he's going to invade, which is good news. Hiruzen flinched. Arisher looked at him in mild shock. How is that good news? The Hokage smiled slightly. It's good news because he doesn't know that we know an invasion is coming. He still believes he will have the element of surprise. Arisher nodded his head at that. Here, take this file and study it, the Hokage said, reaching into a drawer and pulling out 3 thin manila folders. I should have never sent you after them without more information. That was my fault. These are the files on Kabuto and his team. I want you to familiarize yourself with their files. Your mission is not over. I understand. Now I think I'll go get some rest. I've been going non-stop for 2 days now. Very well, I'll see you after the deadline, Hiruzen said by way of dismissal. Mimi flashback over. Naruto was in mid-pace when he sensed a presence at his door. Moving quickly to open it, he was not surprised to find Anko with her hand poised to knock. Before she had a chance to speak, he grabbed her hand and dragged her into the room and slammed the door. Hey, what's with the manhandling? Anko snapped. Naruto still didn't say anything and just grabbed her face and smashed his lips on top of hers. Anko was completely taken back by Naruto. There was usually some teasing before her and Naruto got physical, but he hadn't so much as said hi to her before he was kissing her breathless. Speaking of breathless, she was quickly running out of oxygen. Fortunately, that was when the kiss ended. They were both panting when the kiss was broken, Anko more so than Naruto. Okay, what the hell was that? You don't even speak to me before you shove your tongue in my mouth trying to suffocate me? What's going on? Anko asked. There are two things going on. One is, that was a thank Kami you're alive kiss. I just came back from speaking to the Hokage not too long ago. He said you went after Orochimaru without backup. What were you thinking? Had the bastard not been in a good mood, I might be mourning you instead of kissing you, Naruto explained. After his explanation, Anko looked equal parts pissed off and shamefaced, quite a combination. I was thinking I could finally get rid of the asshole, Anko said as she started pacing the room in an agitated. Everything I do is shadowed by him, by his status as a traitor and by me being his student. I'll never be rid of his stink until he's dead and gone. Anko paused in her pacing to sit on the single bed in the room and stare at the floor. Naruto sighed and moved to sit next to her. I can't say I know how you feel. What I do know is that had you died yesterday, you would have left behind a lot of devastated people. Does Kurenai know you went after him by yourself yet? Naruto chuckled as Anko's face paled slightly. Anko might have been one of the scariest people in Konoha, but Kurenai was known to call up Kage-level strength when she was defending someone she cared about, and she loved Anko like a sister. Ah man, when she finds out what I almost did she's going to kill me, Anko whined. What do you mean what you almost did? Naruto asked. Anko looked at him confused for a moment. Don't you know? You said you spoke with the Hokage about our fight. He didn't give me a play-by-play, at least I don't think he did. What did you almost do? Anko's eyes widened momentarily. You know what, I should let you get some rest. It's only the second day and before you know it the second stage will be over and then back in the trenches. So I'll see you later. As she was speaking she was also making her way to the door, and by the end of her sentence she was turning the handle before Naruto put a hand on the door keeping it closed. You're not leaving until you tell me. Anko hung her head, not wanting to look Naruto in the eye and tell him what actually happened. I might have tried a forbidden jutsu he taught me. Naruto narrowed his eyes and placed his finger under Anko's chin to raise her head up and look her in the eye. What kind of forbidden jutsu? What would it do? He demanded. It would have kind of killed both of us if it was successful, she mumbled. Naruto blinked slowly at first, then nodded his head as if he came to a silent agreement with himself. Yep, she is definitely going to put a hurting on you, and my punishment has increased as well. Anko looked at him confusedly. What punishment? You don't have any authority to give out punishments. I outrank you, remember? This is not a punishment from shinobi to shinobi, it's a punishment from lover to lover. Remember when I said there were two things going on with that kiss? He asked. Getting a cautious nod from her, Naruto continued. Well, at first, for doing something so stupid as to go after someone of Orochimaru's status without backup, I was going to prohibit any sexual contact until the end of the second stage. Anko gasped, and her face grew pale at the thought of no more orgasms from her earthbound sex god. Now that you tell me that you were about to kill yourself, well, now that means no more sexual contact until after the exams are over completely. That kiss was supposed to hold us over for the next 3 days. But I guess it will be until whenever these exams are finished, Naruto said, looking Anko in the eye to convey that he was serious. No more 3-hour sex sessions for Anko? Anko said in a soft, pleading voice. Naruto just shook his head no. No more sex on the Hokage monument for Anko? Another shake was her answer. No more quickies in the Hokage's office for Anko? Another shake of the head, and no touching yourself either, Naruto said. Nuh! Anko screamed to the heavens above. At the border of Fire Country, Jiraiya of the Sannin, Toad Sage, sensei of Minato Namikaze, author of the hit Ika Ika series and self-proclaimed super pervert, stopped in his tracks as a chill went down his back. Normally following this chill would be intense pain of several fists of feminine fury at being caught researching material for his books. But this chill was different. He only felt this chill whenever he met monks or other religious types, or when he came across a beaten-down husband. It was the chill of forced celibacy. Jiraiya bowed his head as he was wont to do in situations such as this and sent a silent prayer to the Ika Ika gods. May you know the pleasures of the flesh once again, comrade. Back in the forest of death, Arisher was now walking the side of the tower towards the roof where he sensed Kakashi. He left Anko back in his room sulking in a corner about her punishment, while he went to have his talk with Kakashi. He found the man sitting on the roof and just staring out into the forest with a blank look in his only visible eye. So Arisher just sat himself next to him and waited until he approached whatever subject he wanted to talk about. He didn't have to wait long and Kakashi got right to the point. You're Naruto Uzumaki, aren't you? Naruto, seeing no reason to lie to him, said yes I am. Although that isn't my full name, it's Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. So you know about your father as well, Kakashi stated. Yeah, when I was 6 Gigi told me everything and sent me to be trained away from the village. Who trained you? Whoever it was must have been exceptional and also beyond trustworthy. You're going to have to ask Gigi that. It's a secret that as far as I know he and I are the only living beings who know. The training was brutal but well worth every ache and pain I had to endure, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded at that as he had seen his skill for himself. Who else knows the truth about you? For now just Anko, Gigi, Asuma, Konohamaru, and now you. Gigi's going to make an announcement before the third round about my return and my heritage. It's going to be a shitstorm, but I can't hide forever, and it's better for us to reveal who I am instead of someone else, Naruto said, staring off into the forest below. So I suppose you know I was a student of your father's. After my teammate Obito died and my other teammate Rin disappeared, he was all I had left to keep me from self-destructing. Kakashi turned his head to look directly at the blonde next to him. So if there is anything you ever need, just ask and I'll do my best to help. Naruto stared into Kakashi's sole visible eye and nodded his head, grateful for the support he was receiving from him. You have done plenty. I would have been a lot worse off if you hadn't interfered as much as you did when I was a child, Naruto said, smirking at Kakashi's look of surprise when he said Kakashi Umbu codename. How? Kakashi was so shocked he couldn't even feign his usual blasé attitude. Naruto chuckled at Kakashi's discomfort. Those Umbu masks may cover your faces, but I dare you to name anyone else in Konoha with gravity-defying silver hair. Some of the Umbu with more distinguishing hair should really look into utilizing a transformation jutsu when on duty, like that cat Umbu with the long purple hair. Maybe you guys should look into a face mask helmet combo, or maybe invest in some wigs or something. Naruto laughed outright at Kakashi's sheepish expression. Naruto stopped laughing after a while before he took on a thoughtful expression and turned to look at Kakashi. You know, maybe there is something you can do for me. Naruto reached into one of his many pockets and took out a scroll that said documents on the label. He opened the scroll and bypassed the storage seals labeled mission reports, bank statements, and business, and went to the one that said personal and applied some chakra. Flicking through the many folders until he came across the one he was looking for, he resealed the rest away. This is something my father would have wanted you to have, and I want you to have it too. Thanks for everything, Kakashi, Naruto said before standing and making his way back inside. 3 days later at the tower, Hiruzen Saratobis stood in front of a gathering of wannabe Chunins. Some were dirty and exhausted, some were in fresh clothes and well rested. There were very few of the latter. Congratulations on making it this far. Each and every one of you does your villages proud, Saratobis said. Now allowed to tell you the true meaning of the Chunin exams. As the Hokage began his speech about the true meaning of the exams, Arisher was looking at the gathered competition. There was Team 8, 9, and 10 as well as Kabuto's team, the Sound Team, the team from Suna. With the exception of Team 7, Kabuto's team, and the Suna squad, they all look like they spent months in the training ground instead of 5 days. Is there anyone here who wishes to quit at this point in the exams? Arisher focused on the speaker when he heard those words. It was a sickly-looking Jonin with the standard Konoha outfit and a bandana-style headband. I would, a voice behind and to the right of Arisher said. When he turned, he was not surprised to see that it was Kabuto. I'm afraid I don't have enough chakra to continue. Bullshit, Arisher thought. Very well, cough, you're excused. We are far from done, Kabuto, count on it, Arisher thought, eyeing Kabuto as he made his way out of the chamber they were currently in. I quit, as well, a soft voice said in front of him. Arisher turned around so fast he felt like he pulled something in his neck. Sakura? Sakura didn't even turn around, just kept facing forward. What the hell, forehead? What kind of game are you playing, quitting all of a sudden? Ino asked, or more like demanded. Sakura turned to face her one-time best friend. That's just it, Ino, this isn't a game. It's like that instructor from the first exam said. As Chunin, we are going to have the lives of our comrades resting on every decision we make, and I know I'm nowhere near ready for that. I've only made it this far because of luck. I was about to quit during the 10th question, and if not for you guys coming when you did. Sakura paused here as she relived the experience of the Sound Team's attack. I would have probably died in the forest 3 days ago. No, I'm not ready to be a Chunin. I have too much to learn, Sakura said, turning to face the instructor. Ino just stared at Sakura with her mouth open, trying to process how Sakura could sound so worldly in such a short time out of the academy. You're dismissed as well. Anyone else? Arisher placed a hand on Sakura's shoulder as she walked past him. It seems like that hidden Kunoic is starting to fight her way to the surface. I have a feeling I'll be meeting her before long, Arisher said, only loud enough for Sakura to hear. A tinge of pink spread over Sakura's face that matched her hair, which thankfully Arisher ignored. Thank you, she said softly, and walked to the exit, leaving the arena. Proctor, I quit too. Ino exclaimed loudly. If Forehead thinks she's going to get away with saying I'm only better than her because she quit, she has another thing coming. Ino said, stomping out after Sakura. It seems we are finally ready, to begin the elimination round. Direct your attention to the board. When your name appears, obviously you're to come to the center of the arena prepared to fight. The first match will be. Everyone looked to the board as the names of the participants flashed through before coming to a stop on 2 names. Sasuke, Uchiha, and Arisher, you two stay here, while the rest of you retreat to the balcony until your turn, Hate said. Sasuke versus Arisher. Arisher and Sasuke faced off against each other in the center of the ring, while the other Chunin hopefuls went to the balcony as instructed. You two will fight until one of you are unable to, or until I stop you. Are you ready? Hate said, first looking at Sasuke. When he received a nod, he looked at Arisher, who also nodded. Very well, begin. Tough break, Kakashi. Having your genin going against each other right from the start, Asuma said. I agree with Asuma, Kakashi. This cannot be good for your team, Guy said in a quiet tone denoting his seriousness. Kakashi didn't turn to address either man. He just kept a lazy eye on the 2 genin in the center of the arena. I'm not worried about team unity. Arisher was only on the team as a replacement, and I already knew of his skills, so his promotion was almost guaranteed. Now it's just a formality. What I'm worried about is how much damage he's going to do to Sasuke's pride. Guy was looking at Kakashi like he had just spoken a different language. Just a formality. What makes you think he has the skill to make Chunin first time around? Asuma lit a cigarette and took a deep drag on it before stepping into the conversation. You've been busy with your team lately, and have missed the last few get-togethers. You've heard of the Perfect Storm, right? The bounty hunter? Getting a nod from the green-clad Jonin. That's him down there, Asuma said, gesturing towards the blonde-masked ninja. Guy was bug-eyed at that revelation. Asuma chuckled at Guy's look. He joined the village about 6 months ago. If not for the mandatory probationary period, the old man probably would have made him a Jonin straight out. Sasuke Chunin exam stops here. From what he's told me, has trained every day until he dropped, and he has over a year of real-world experience. Sasuke's done here, Asuma said, taking a drag on his cancer stick. Although I don't like the way he said it, Asuma's right. Sasuke won't make it past this match. If it was anyone else he was facing, I would bet on him, or at least give him even odds, but not here, Kakashi said, not taking his eyes off the pair. Back on the floor, Arisher got into a loose boxing stance, and prepared himself for whatever the Uchiha would launch first. But instead of the Uchiha getting into any type of stance or beginning any hand seal, all he did was smirk. I have been waiting for the chance to test my strength against someone. I was hoping it would be that redhead up there, but I think you'll do just fine. Well, I'm flattered that you think so highly of my skills, but flattery will get you nowhere with me. Try dinner and a movie, Arisher said. Arisher was quick to duck under the roundhouse kick that statement had provoked. He also avoided the leg sweep that followed it. He could already see Sasuke was letting his anger cloud his thoughts. Arisher didn't need the Sharingan to predict where every kick and punch was coming from. Well, it didn't take long for Sasuke to lose what control he had. It might be less embarrassing if he just forfeited, Kakashi said casually. What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? Look at Sasuke go. He's putting that Arisher guy on his heels, Kiba said, getting a bark of agreement from his dog Akamaru. Look closer, Kiba, Kurenai said to her student. Sasuke is just throwing wild punches and kicks, and if you look carefully, Arisher is anticipating them accurately. It's true, Sasuke has been open to counterattacks since the first kick. Arashi-san may seem to be on the defense, but really he's just letting Sasuke tire himself. It takes more energy to swing and miss than it does to connect with an attack. A very effective strategy, Guy said, analyzing the fight. After another failed volley of punches and kicks, Sasuke jumped into the air to put some distance between the two. As he landed on the ground, he was just finishing hand seals for a jutsu fire style. Great fireball jutsu. Sasuke exclaimed as he inhaled a deep breath and exhaled a massive fireball at Arisher. Like it was second nature, Arisher retrieved a blood-red scroll from one of his many pockets and opened to a seal labeled fire. Applying chakra to the seal to activate it, Arisher held it up to the incoming fireball and watched as it was absorbed into the seal. When the last of the flames were absorbed and Sasuke was panting on one knee, Arisher once again applied chakra to the seal to deactivate it, sealing the flames within. So Sasuke, how does it feel to have one of your jutsus stolen from you? Arisher asked, putting the scroll away. Sasuke just glared at the blonde ninja across, before another smirk played across his features. You're better than I thought. It gives me the perfect opportunity to finally test this out fully, he said, activating his Sharingan. It wasn't fully matured yet, only 2 tomos in the right eye and 1 in the left. Sasuke noticed Arisher had ducked his head so that he wouldn't meet his eyes. I see, you know the power of the Uchiha clan. You can't even look me the eyes now. Arisher shook his head, still not looking up. That's not it at all. I was just remembering the first time I activated my own Sharingan, Arisher said, looking up with the red eyes of an Uchiha with a fully matured Sharingan in each eye. Gasps and mutterings were heard all throughout the small arena. Even the Hokage was so shocked he dropped his pipe. What, another one? Kami, I could have a spare set of eyes after all. A disguised Jonin thought, salivating at the thought of another possible set of red eyes. But none were more shocked than Sasuke, who had let his own eyes deactivate when Arisher looked up. How do you have those eyes? Tell me how you have those eyes. You're not an Uchiha. Sasuke screamed. Instead of answering, Arisher sped forward and buried his hand in Sasuke's sternum, just above the stomach and right below the ribcage. Sasuke doubled over and puked up his last meal before he started gasping for breath. Grabbing the back of Sasuke's shirt before he hit the ground, Arisher stood him up and grabbed Sasuke around the throat with his right hand. He threw Sasuke's right arm behind his head. Then he lifted Sasuke in the air on a fully extended arm and made a 180-degree turn choke slam from hell, he said before slamming Sasuke on his back. With the added pain and having the rest of the wind knocked out of him, Sasuke was out like a light, and Arisher was making his way towards the stairs. Winner Arisher. Medics, Arisher heard behind him. As he made his way up the stairs, he was greeted by a bunch of shocked faces, none more so than those of Konoha. What do you mean, what? How the hell do you have the Sharingan? Asuma demanded with shock written all over his face. Wait a minute, Asuma, this is my student, I'll ask the questions here, Kakashi said. What do you mean, what? How the hell do you have the Sharingan? Kakashi demanded, much like Asuma. Sharingan? Oh right, the Sharingan. Well, that's easy, I don't have the Sharingan at all, Arisher said. All of the Konoha ninja face planted at the casual response, while the foreign ninja sweat dropped. Dude! You still have it activated. Kiba exclaimed, pointing at Arashi's eyes. Oh. I can see how you're all confused. Then Arisher brought his hands up in the ram's seal release. When he said that the fully matured Sharingan melted away and revealed Arashi's regular cerulean blue eyes, it was just a doubled-layered genjutsu. I applied it when everyone was looking at the board for the first match. I was only going to use it as shock value to throw my opponent off during our fight. Unfortunately, that opponent was Sasuke. When Sasuke activated his and I ducked my head, I released the first layer, which was my regular blue eyes, and the second layer was the Sharingan, and now we're back to regular blue. Nice strategy. Put your opponent off balance, then strike. Well done, Arisher-sama said. Nice strategy, my ass. That was brilliant. That was a blanket strategy. It would have won him the match against any of the participants here. All he would have needed was one moment of hesitation to strike, and the Sharingan appearing in a non-Uchiha would have provided that. Kakashi thought, looking over his student. I should ask him to play a game of shogi sometime, Shikamaru thought. Thank Kami it was fake. The paperwork involved with the discovery of another Uchiha. The Hokage released a shudder that only those standing nearby saw. You little shit. Getting my hopes up like that. You've now made my shit list, and nobody leaves my shit list until they're dead. The same disguised Jonin thought. Okay, Kokov, the next match is Hate said, turning everyone's attention to the display board. The board flipped through the names before landing on the next two fights. Dosu Kinyuta and Kiba Inuzuka. Kufkov, come down and step off into the ring, Hate announced. Hoo-hoo. Akamura, let's do it. Kiba exclaimed, practically running down the stairs. Dosu took his time getting down to the arena and lining up in front of Kiba. Dosu versus Kiba. You should just give up. Akamura and I have this match in the bag, Kiba stated. Dosu didn't respond, just gave Kiba a blank stare. Are you both ready? Hate asked both contestants. Receiving two nods, Hate raised his right arm, then brought it down swiftly. Begin. Stay out of this, Akamura. I can handle this, Kiba said with a smirk piercing Fong. Kiba began spinning at an extremely fast rate and launched himself at his opponent. Dosu simply raised the long sleeve of his right arm, and as the spinning genin got closer, he channeled chakra into his melody arm. Vibrating sound drill, he said, swinging his arm and sidestepping the mini cyclone. The still spinning Kiba sailed past his intended target directly into the wall behind him, knocking himself unconscious. Akamura ran to his partner and began tugging on his pants leg, trying to get Kiba's head out of the cement wall it was currently stuck in. Winner Dosu Kinyuta, medics, Hate said. Wow. That was a little embarrassing, huh? Arisher said, stating the obvious. Kurenai just shook her head at her student's embarrassing loss. After so much boasting, I can't believe he lost like that. What was that jutsu anyway? You know that device he has on his arm? Shikamaru said. What about it? Kurenai said, turning towards the lazy genin. Troublesome used a similar attack on another genin before the exam started, and he also used during the second stage. He channels chakra through it and attacks with sound waves. With Kiba's sensitive hearing, he was at a severe disadvantage, Shikamaru explained. Next match, Gaara of the Desert and Misumi Tsuruja step into the arena, Hate announced. Gaara disappeared in the sand Shunsin and appeared in the center of the arena with his arms crossed over his chest. Misumi walked down from the balcony at a leisurely pace. He appeared to be in no hurry to confront the genin from sand. Are both fighters ready? In response, Gaara popped the cork of his gourd and sand began to slither around his form. Misumi gave a hesitant nod of his head. Begin. Misumi began the offensive with a hail of shuriken and kunai. The response from Gaara was a blank stare and his sand moving into the path of the projectiles to intercept them. Misumi rushed Gaara in an attempt to get past his sand defense, but it was no good. Every punch and kick was met with a wall of sand and blank stare. He was beginning to get frustrated when he noticed a tightening around his leg. He glanced down to see sand enclosing his leg, abandoning his attack on Gaara. Misumi brought both fists down on the sand, encasing his leg, breaking the hold, and then did several back handsprings to gain some distance. That was a little too close. I see why you've never taken any damage. That is one hell of a defense, Misumi said. Gaara ignored the compliment. This is boring. Your blood is not enough to appease Mother, Gaara said in his usual monotone voice. Misumi glared at Gaara. Don't dismiss me, you little shit. You might not live to regret it. He then put his hands in a ram's seal and channeled chakra throughout his body. Soft body modification, he said. Lowering his arms, he reached into his hip pouch and pulled out a paper tag. His jutsu became noticeable when he stretched his arm out to attack Gaara. As he had expected, Gaara's sand came to his defense and Misumi attached the paper bomb to the sand shield, placing his hand in the ram's seal. Let's see how bored you are now, he said, detonating the bomb and showering bits of sand throughout the arena. This strategy actually made Gaara blink, but that was all the response he had. Misumi then went on the offense once more. This time he stretched both his arms and attached two exploding tags, scattering Gaara's defense even more. Misumi's strategy was simple. Without his sand, Gaara was defenseless, so get rid of the sand, get to the target easy. You're running out of sand, kid. Without this defense, you're a sitting duck. If Misumi hadn't gotten so overconfident that his strategy was working, he would have noticed that he was suddenly ankle-deep in sand. Unfortunately, he only noticed when he was overcome by a shadow from behind him. He tried to jump away, but the sand at his ankles tightened and brought him to the floor. The sand that was building behind him crashed down on top of him, wrapping his body from the shoulders down in a tight cocoon. As I said before, your blood is unworthy of Mother, but she must be fed, Gaara said. How did you get your sand behind me? Misumi had to strain to get the words out because the sand was steadily increasing. Your little bombs caused a cloud cover and I drilled a hole in the floor and got my sand behind you sand coffin before Hate could call the match. Even before Misumi could scream, he was crushed within the sand. Winner Gaara of the desert. Medics. As Gaara's sand retreated back to his gourd, Misumi was left in a heap until the medics pronounced him dead and removed his body. Did that really just happen? He just killed him like it was nothing, Choji said, shocked at having just witnessed his first death. Gaara's never satisfied unless he spills blood. Unfortunately, he doesn't care if it's friend or enemy, Temari said, although the last part she said quietly so that only Kankuro standing next to her could hear. Tsurugi-san was right about something, Arisher said, not speaking to anyone in particular. If one were to get past his sand defense, they could take him down. Too bad the fight didn't last too long. I would have liked to see the extent of his defense. Kankuro scoffed as he came to stand next to the blonde Konoha ninja. It's an absolute defense, nothing gets past it. The only absolute defense is an absolute offense. Besides, I like a challenge and this seems promising, Arisher said. Yeah, I'll make sure they put that on your tombstone, pal, Kankuro replied smugly. Next match, Choji Akimichi vs Yoroi Kato. Enter the Arenikov Ka, Hate announced. Yoroi jumped from the balcony to the floor, anxious to get the fight going, while Choji was freaking out, clutching to Shikamaru and Asuma. I don't have all day, fat boy, get down here so you can have your ass handed to you, Yoroi growled out. Choji's hysterics ceased immediately, and he walked woodenly to the railing of the balcony and looked down at his opponent. What did you call me? He asked calmly. I called you fat boy, what of it? That's what I thought you said, Choji said, and disappeared from the balcony and was suddenly standing across from Yoroi. Proctor, start the match, then find a spot out the way, Choji said, still in that calm voice. Damn, Akimikis are so sensitive, but still better someone else than me. Hate thought, are you both ready? Getting two nods, begin, he said and disappeared. Partial expansion jutsu, right arm, Choji said, and right at the start threw a punch worthy of a giant. His hand completely covered Yoroi from head to toe as it connected with Yowa's entire body, embedding him spread eagle into the cement wall behind him. I'm not fat, I'm big boned, Choji screamed.